If you want to cross the line, you can cross it. If you want to play games, go play that somewhere else. We got business to do here. Cross the line or get the out. Right. Either way.
I.S.U.P.K.
If you want to cross the line, you can cross it. If you want to play games, go play that somewhere else. We got business to do. If you want to cross the line, you can cross or get the out. Right. Either way.
Purchase your tracks today.
You know the people been waiting for a minute for something authentic. Came in the truth and bossed in it. Made niggas regroup. Had to shed light on the false image. UPK whole court. Now who the fuck won scrimmage? 2 words for soft niggas. What is good riddance? Don't affiliate with feminine symptoms. I know you feel me, nigga. This a death threat to hip hop. You don't stop that weak shit, I'ma mix your lean with some Grimlock. When the last time you heard it this raw? What I wish for's when the earth inherited by the piss poor. We been to war, them the ones I'm taking risks for. Ain't got no picks or no cars to hold. Holy angels watch my steps, them Glock guard my soul. Can't let them leave my body cold. I know you feel me, nigga. Let the wicked weep and the meek prevail. God never been 50-50. I shall now awake and sleep a cell. Let the righteous cry, silence the pretender. A rebel without a cause, as long as I remember. Not taking the kingdom, the only thing on my agenda. Can't avoid me, nigga. Middle finger to the ones that try to destroy me. Revenge of beauty, I'm a beast. I told the bitch she can't eat, let she join me for dinner. My God ain't got no regard for a sinner. One call fall on him like timber. I know you feel me, nigga. In the eyes of terror, I stand still. Go to work for the colony, bring it back to the anthill. Plus everything I drop heavy as an anvil. Show you how to stand like a man in this damn field. I know you feel me, nigga. Fucking quality, it gotta be one man win and the rest lose. Wave devastating, I'm calculating my next move. UPK with real niggas seek refuge. Body shots for pause, that'll get you bruised. My niggas whole ranker, check your little attitude. I came to fuck up your move on your little holiday like I'm Mr. Scrooge. Resurrected from the grave, walking from the fall. Business in my eyes, gripping the mic, screaming God bless the underdog, down by the letter. And live by that protocol, walk by faith, not by sight. Ain't no hope for getting struggles. Life like some war, resist or get pulled into a world that never left you. I will endure, election will be sure, correction will be swift. No Will Smith, but I am legend. What else would you call the killer of deception? A leader got soldiers on post in every direction. On gold like a German shepherd, young and a restless, wear honor like a diamond necklace. I know you feel me, nigga.
Purchase your tracks today.
Cops wanna kill me cause I'm black. Ops wanna drill me cause I'm black. Can't get no job cause I'm black. She wanna fuck me cause I'm black. Her dad don't like me cause I'm black, but she Hispanic so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jude, so I'm black. Cops wanna kill me cause I'm black. Ops wanna drill me cause I'm black. Can't get no job cause I'm black. She wanna fuck me cause I'm black. Her dad don't like me cause I'm black, but she Hispanic so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jude, so I'm black. I can't fight the cops and the ops. Toting Glocks heavy on the block. While a crack tucked in the sock. It's to help the ones I love. We was on the block for the grub. If you from my side, then it's love. Wanted big knots, busting out the jeans, but we was hurting on the fiends. Without that crack, he was just like me. Dirty nigga from the concrete, but the white man dealt his hand. So we eating up the trash can. People ride by, don't extend a hand, cause to them, it's an average black man. So for him, that's why I gotta make it. I ain't talking rap. Before the slave ships, I'm one of a kind. Y'all can't take it. I can never leave my spot vacant, cause I'm black. I see crowns and I take it, cause I'm black. I never been in no spaceship, but I know a UFO when I see it. I know that it's gonna come when I need it. I put faith in God more than Bible reading, so I don't play that shit. Address them when you see him. Cops wanna kill me cause I'm black. Ops wanna drill me cause I'm black. Can't get no job cause I'm black. She wanna fuck me cause I'm black. Her dad don't like me cause I'm black, but she Hispanic so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jude, so I'm black. Cops wanna kill me cause I'm black. Ops wanna drill me cause I'm black. Can't get no job cause I'm black. She wanna fuck me cause I'm black. Her dad don't like me cause I'm black, but she Hispanic so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jew, so I'm black. Learn to flip pennies cause I'm black. Know about semis cause I'm black. Yeah, in the hood we was strapped 10 toes down. We wear sacks. Substitute Israelite with black. And you gotta guess where I'm at. I'll be with the priest chilling hard. Right on Malcolm X Boulevard. To you niggas, to me the stars. Everything about my life is hard. But I'll never fold, play my cards. You want beef? What's the cause? Watch your mouth, I hit hard. Back up for unique goals. Everything you say, mad pause. Every move I make is within them laws. And I've been the boss cause it's beneficial. Ask the enemy, I've been official. If not for weed, I've been the official. Homie, I understand why you smoke. Been depressed since slave boats. But the Bible is the G code. Far blunts don't need those. Brotherhood is life's G code. Cops wanna kill me cause I'm black. Ops wanna drill me cause I'm black. Can't get no job cause I'm black. She wanna fuck me cause I'm black. Her dad don't like me cause I'm black, but she Hispanic so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jew, so I'm black. Cops wanna kill me cause I'm black. Ops wanna drill me cause I'm black. Can't get no job cause I'm black. She wanna fuck me cause I'm black. Her dad don't like me cause I'm black, but she Hispanic so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jew, so I'm black. I don't gotta buy J's cause I'm black. I don't pay 2K just cause I'm black. Fought my whole life cause I'm black. But I left his eye blue and black. Ain't got a trap cause I'm black. Ain't got not one face tat. But I'm still getting profile, cause I think these crackers profile. Scruffy beard with the dark skin, baggy sweats with the butter Tims. So they know they can't butter him, so they rather sound muzzle him. If you touching him, and you comfort him, cause I'm a law keeper, a peace bringer, no tranquility, a peace bringer. Deuce in the street sweeper, coverage clip, I be spicing shit. But gunned out with die in the icy wrist, that showed in my chest ain't for blocking shit. Touch me, I'm all on you blocking shit, cause I'm black. You think I gotta cock the fifth? Well, that's a stereotype, that's accurate, cause crackers laying niggas in these cold streets and then telling my brother he gotta beef for me. Cops wanna kill me cause I'm black, ops wanna drill me cause I'm black. Can't get no job cause I'm black. She wanna fuck me cause I'm black. Her dad don't like me cause I'm black, but she Hispanic so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jew, so I'm black. Cops wanna kill me cause I'm black. Ops wanna drill me cause I'm black. Can't get no job cause I'm black. She wanna fuck me cause I'm black. Her dad don't like me cause I'm black, but she Hispanic so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jew, so I'm black. So I'm black.
Yeah. Sound. Can you hear? Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Yeah. You got the intro? You got my intro?
Which intro? We played it already.
Play it one more time.
Play
the intro.
You didn't turn my sound down.
Oh, my bad.
Can't
Let's
hear
play
nothing.
the intro one more time.
One more time?
Yeah, play it one more time. You got it?
Gotta get it.
Yeah, just grab it for me real quick. We be honest, I cannot start the show without the intro. Please play it. If you want to cross the line, you'd have crossed it. If you want to play games, go play that somewhere else. We got business to do here. That's right. Cross the line get the out. Either one.
I.S.U.P.K.
Yeah. That's the new intro cut that I made himself. You made that, right?
I gave the order, so I have to take that.
Well, let's take the same thing.
I orchestrated.
You on live on Cross the Line Radio. Y'all know we get down every Thursday night, 10 p.m. to midnight. We have a radio show where we go over current events. We go over hot topics. We go over scripture breakdowns. Sometimes we have special guests. This evening, we got a special guest in the house. We got two of them. Only one will be on the show. The brother that'll be on the show as a guest is Brother Jabari. I'll let him introduce himself momentarily. We have my man Sinetta. He's no stranger to working with myself, I.S.U.P.K. As far as I know, he's a good brother, except when he talked that bullshit about Kemet being good or great or something like that. But they decided to come down into the show so that we can have a decent discussion. My time with Jabari, I think I've had 2 or 3 interactions with him. One, we sat down where we was talking about creation, so to speak. That was my first introduction to you. The second one, I was actually at his house when he did a debate with Divine Prospect. Huh? The debate was before we sat down and was talking about Adam. Okay, so maybe I could have it wrong. And then the last one, we was on the street, and we was having a conversation. He didn't like that I was saying, I don't know if I called him soft or I don't know what the fuck it was, but it was something like that. But the brother has been running all across on different platforms, having discussions with different Israelites, different topics. He's made some statements against I.S.U.P.K. He's made statements against the Bible in the sense of saying that it's misogynistic because it's patriarchal. So I thought a while ago, I said I wasn't going to debate Kemet. This is not necessarily a debate. This is something where we could sit Jabari down, ask him some questions one-on-one, and see if he can take it. And that's what we're here to do. We're gonna bring out some things he said. We're gonna ask him some questions. But before that, I do want to let him actually introduce himself. So, Brother Jabari, you can go ahead and introduce yourself, and you can speak whenever you want.
Could you turn the mic up? You got to turn that on. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
there you
Is
go.
that better? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can
There
hear
we
you perfectly
go.
now.
This is Brother Jabari Osaze. I'm pleased to be here in the I.S.U.P.K school, right in Harlem. It's a powerful place to be, and I am honored that the brothers have welcomed me here. Just as Captain T.D.JAKES has said, our first meeting was actually in my shrine. So he came to our shrine and had a really, I think, a powerful debate with our brother Divine Prospect. So in many ways, I thought it was appropriate for me to do the same, to come and talk with our brothers from the I.S.U.P.K.
Right.
I want to be really clear that I would not be here if I didn't view you as my brothers. Right. And so I really want us to be able to have a fruitful dialogue. I don't think I've said things against I.S.U.P.K, but I have disagreed with some of the teachings that I've heard. Not to say that I'm an expert by any means, but certainly I've had some disagreements around some of the things that I've heard. And I have said that the Bible has a problem with misogyny. That is accurate. And so those are things that we can talk about. In terms of who I am, because I know I'm talking to an audience that may not be as familiar with me, I'm a historian and I'm a Kemetic priest. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the word Kemet, we're talking about the original name of the land that today is known as Egypt. So essentially, as a historian, I have spent all of my adult life really studying ancient Africa, studying our people, and trying to understand exactly who we are and from whence we come from. And as a Kemetic priest, my tradition, notice I had mentioned being an African first, because I think that sometimes people think that I'm rocking Kemet and all the rest of the world can just, disappear. And in actuality, I'm an African. My spiritual tradition comes from Kemet. And so I am a Kemetic priest. I've studied Kemetic spirituality for nearly 30 years. In fact, I actually was initiated into a Kemetic house 20 years ago this year. So it is an important milestone for me. Other than that, you've probably seen me do many things. You know that I actually have traveled on the continent extensively, along with a group called the African Genesis Institute. I have taken over 3,000 people of African descent to the continent. And so that's been something that I've truly appreciated. And
I love her.
I have traveled to Kemet for my last trip in November was my 15th trip. So I've traveled extensively on the continent, and truly believe that taking our people to see our native homeland is of critical importance to our development. So
I noticed you said you spent all your life,
all my adult life.
All your adult life,
right?
Now, I think you also, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you also have a Catholic background as well.
I was raised Catholic. I was raised Roman Catholic.
Okay, and then you stopped that when you became like 18 or in adulthood, or is it something you stopped as a teenager?
This is interesting. No one really has asked me that question. That's a good, we're already starting off with Captain asked me some tough questions. You know what? When I was in high school, I actually certainly was questioning the dogma of the Roman Catholic Church. And some of you may not know this, but that was when there may be video somewhere floating around. You'll see a young Jabari Osaze standing downtown listening to who? Listening to the Hebrew Israelite brothers. So I've actually been aware of you for a very long time and admired some of your work for a very long time as well. So so that was the period of questioning. It wasn't until I was 18 that I actually could say that I became an adherent of Kemetic spirituality. It was at that time.
Okay, I appreciate that. So one of the questions I wanted, we have a few questions and things, I guess, to discuss.
Sure.
And
can I say something really quick?
Yeah.
I'm here. I have heard some people say that our brother Sonetta, who was in the house, peace to Sonetta, and I'm pleased that he's here. I've heard some people say Sonetta defends me and all the other stuff. And I want to be really clear that whenever brothers gather and have important conversations, I would like to count myself amongst that group. So this is not a situation where anyone has protected me. I enjoy talking to brothers about important issues, and so I'm glad that you've welcomed me here.
Because Sai saves all of y'all.
Listen, it's damn near by default. When Sai Netta see you struggling, he gonna come in.
I think that the folks can actually see those videos. I honestly believe that Sonetta has never saved me from struggling. Sometimes we have tough conversations. Look at the videos. Sometimes when Sonetta interrupts, I say, I was saying something. How you interrupt me?
Like when
we
sat down,
so there are many times that I actually disagree with it as well.
Yeah.
When we sat down with the creation story, and I know you get upset when I said this, you put your Nikes on and you ran away a little bit, but that's okay. So
you said I put my Nikes on.
Yeah.
See, it's
it ran
when
away
you
a
say
little
that
bit
because when I come down there, I can only come for so long because I'm running a camp.
Sure.
So I can't. I think that time frame was like an hour,
right,
or so that I spent.
And you should know I'm teasing you a little bit too.
No,
right?
I see
you as my brother.
The thing about it is, I don't mind that teasing.
Right.
Just don't mind my shit back. My shit
well,
just
here's the deal.
Like, see, the difference is like you like a, a cordial tease.
Here's the deal. I don't have any problem.
Tease.
I used to actually deal with brothers who are in prison. I'm used to people talking in harsh language. That's not the issue. I didn't take issue with you calling me soft either, because I thought that was funny. I took issue with you saying that you didn't respect me. That was what I took issue with. And if you look at the video, you'll know that is what I took issue with, because regardless of our disagreements, I have always said that I respect Captain Tazariak. I respect the work he's doing in our community. So when you say you didn't respect me, that's what I took issue with.
I'm gonna let Katazai ask his first question.
Sure.
No sweat.
And peace to Katazai, by the way, too.
Peace, shalom. What's going on? Okay, so it actually segues kind of perfect off that question. That you were in Roman Catholicism, you started waking up, you've seen different, for lack of a better term, Black Power organizations, you understand, such as the I.S.U.P.K, One West, you understand, in the city, so on and so forth. So, I went through a similar walk of life. I was raised Catholic, you understand? And then I knew that was bullshit, you understand, all the dogma, so on and so forth, you understand? But then when I came into the truth, or you understand, not like this knowledge, I had to change. I couldn't sell drugs anymore. I couldn't get high anymore.
That's right.
You understand? There was a lot of different aspects. I had to leave every American holiday alone. So you understand? So my first question is, that's because of the laws of the Bible. So what I want to know is whether it's a papyrus, whether it's a book, a maxim, a pyramid text, coffin text, whatever it is that you understand you can find, you understand, in the catalog of Egypt. You understand what part of the Kemetic spirituality or culture, you understand, stops somebody from getting high or from selling drugs or doing any of those things? Like where is the moral foundation that could prevent a drug dealer or a drug user?
I think that you've mentioned several things. I'd actually say all of them. And I know that sounds like it's not an answer, but honestly, all of them prevent you from doing that. You have spoken extensively. I'm not sure if you've read it, but I know you've spoken extensively about the 42 laws of Ma'at. The 42 laws of Ma'at are actually a later crystallization. It's from the New Kingdom. Kemet was old when the 42 laws came into existence. But in actuality, Kemetic spirituality, Kemetic philosophy, and the 42 laws of Ma'at, you will see prohibition against those sorts of things.
So could you give me one? Like, could you understand?
Well, there are a bunch of them, actually. I would
just, if I may, I don't want to cut you off
all
the way. But for example, if somebody was to say, where can't you be a drug dealer? I would say, well, straight in the scriptures, it says, we suffer a witch not to live. And then I would describe why a drug dealer is a witch, because the same way that witch makes that brew in a cauldron, whips something up to alter your mind, that's the same thing that a drug dealer does when look at the flick of their wrist, you understand, so on and so forth. Whatever the case may be. Or you could see in the scriptures that you're not supposed to taint your temple, so on and so forth. So that's what I mean by specifics.
I think that the first thing you would have to do is understand Kemetic philosophy and spirituality, and reciprocity is one of the fundamental laws, right? And so when you are actually dealing drugs, when you are developing and engaging yourself in relationships that are usury, let's use the word usury now,
okay,
that is against Ma'at. There are many laws of Ma'at that are against that. I have not caused terror. I have not fouled the water. There are so many, there are many different ways that you actually can speak against that sort of living. And I'll say to you honestly, I didn't sell drugs, right? But I did a lot of other stuff, right? And clearly coming into the tradition meant that I couldn't do those things anymore. I made a joke recently with someone, and I said, you know, you can't carry your ankh into the strip club, right? You know what I mean?
Right,
and as
right.
a Kemetic priest, for those of you who haven't seen me, I have to carry around a large ankh. My ankh is 2 pounds of silver.
Right.
You know, you can't actually do things in many ways that are profane when you have taken your life into your own hands. And so that's really the way that I approach it. So
if I could, the approach on this show is a little different than like other platforms or whatever. Like we like the question to get answered. And so the question he asked was, if he say drug dealing is wrong, he would go in the scriptures where it says,
I just gave you a few, actually. Maybe you didn't hear me. I'll say them again. I'll say them again if you'd like.
Please say them again.
Okay,
one more time.
let's go for a few of them. Let's say 13. I have not dealt deceitfully. Right? That's one of the ones that I. Sure. Yes. You don't think drug dealing is dealing deceitfully? You're hearing something different than I am?
No.
Oh,
it's not really answering the question. It's like,
well, listen.
That's kind of like
what I'm saying to you. Wait. So let me answer the question.
That's like a blanket
fully,
term, right?
Fully. Let me answer it fully. Well, you said
it's not. It's if I may, it's not as direct as, for example,
as not being a witch.
When I pulled up the witch, I went a little bit more in depth. Whereas it's more vague when you say I have not dealt deceitfully. That sounds more like lying or.
Well, no. Dealing deceitfully is talking about the challenge of the relationships that you build and creating relationships that are not equitable for people. So dealing deceitfully, when you're a drug dealer, you know you are selling that high. You tell them anything they want to hear, they need to hear to be able to get high. Being a drug dealer, let me finish. Being a drug dealer is being as deceitful as you possibly can be, because you know what situation someone who is going to deal your product
you would
is
show them ancient
and there are
culture.
others.
So you would show them ancient culture dealing with today's time. Like you would go to the drug dealers and that's what you would give them.
Actually, there's several other things I would do too. As a Kemetic priest and an adherent of the Kemetic tradition, you may know that we actually deal very comprehensively with the human body. And we fast. Most Kemetic people are vegetarian. We don't foul our bodies. So there are many different ways that I would approach that. Before I even read them a law from the 42, it's the way that you live that is based in divine balance. And so for my perspective, and I know that when I deal with people who are in the Hebrew Israelite tradition, they always say, well, what are in the laws, right? I would say to you that even before you know the laws, if you're in a tradition, you're clear about the spirit of your tradition.
But we
know
the spirit of the
tradition
that we're talking about are not in the spirit of any tradition.
I got you. That's why I read to you a law. I can read to you a few others if you want to.
No, you don't have to read. We want to read the definition. Go ahead, read that.
But I also
deceitful. Having a tendency or disposition to deceive or give false impressions. Now, that's what I was going to ask.
Where's it from?
On top of this.
Where's it from, though? You got to tell us where you're reading it from.
I'm going to in one moment. But now, so for example, this is deceitful in a modern sense of what we know. So I'm pulling this from a Merriam-Webster's dictionary. So what I'm going to ask you is, for example, because I made a post on Facebook about this today. Most people don't understand the Bible because they'll try to understand it from a Western or Greek understanding of the words when you have to understand it according to Hebrew culture, which we can do. So what I'm saying is, if that's the case and this is not the proper context of that word, can you elaborate on how you would get the context you're speaking of for that word?
Well, let me say two things. First of all, you say that they read it in Greek. You do follow New Testament?
Yeah,
just want you to
much of it is written in Greek.
But
that was my point.
We just want you to answer the question.
So I want you to. Well, I've answered it several times. If it's not to your liking,
he just asked you. We looked up the word deceitful. You read deceitful.
It is
we looked
possible.
Up the word deceitful, and then you brought up the language.
Now let me ask you this:
we want you to correlate
in your
the deceitful or that language.
Let's read.
1 second. We want you to correlate your context into the drug dealing context. So how would you take that and make the correlation?
So let's read the definition one more time.
Do you have it still?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Okay.
Deceitful, having tendencies or disposition to deceive or give false impressions.
When you deal drugs, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to tell them about your high. You're going to tell them what they're going to get. When you know very well that what they're really going to get, they're going to lose their teeth, they're going to lose their family, they're going to lose their home. Definitely, this is dealing deceitfully.
That's the answer.
definitely this is
Okay, so
dealing
now
deceitfully.
my part two to that question is
Sure.
where is that being displayed by you or any of your other Kemetic brothers on the streets where the drug dealers are at?
Where's it being displayed? I'm not sure if I understand
okay.
your question.
I.S.U.P.K is known for being on the streets dealing directly with the drug dealers, the thieves, the murderers, whores, abortionists, etc. If you're saying that that law can get drug dealers to stop dealing drugs, where are you or your Kemetic brothers on the streets doing just that to get them off of drugs?
I think that many of our Kemetic teachers, and it's not just brothers, because it's also sisters.
Either one.
Many of us are actually indoors. One of the critiques, and I'm even
so
do
you
this
don't
because
go
I'm
outside.
being. No, we do, but
that's my question.
Well, let me
see. Like
wait.
When we first started, before we started, I said it won't be a lot of filibustering
but
on the
listen,
show.
this is not filibustering.
No, I want to give you my premise.
Okay.
So maybe we'll stop interrupting, and you could be more concise. Let that be the key word. Be concise with your answers. So when I say filibustering, we don't need a long, drawn out thing. We just need to get right to the point because we got a lot that we want to go over.
Sure.
So a lot of times when you're getting cut off, it's because you're doing too much instead of just being very concise to the point. So the question that I asked was, where are you, brothers or sisters, because you said y'all women can do it too.
That's right.
Where are you or your Kemetic brothers or sisters on the corners where the drug dealers are at? The drug dealers ain't in the house.
Now
they're outside. So where are you on the corners
Right.
to address that directly?
Let me say something that I think you might not expect to hear me say. I actually believe that Kemetic adherents, people who are part of the tradition, need to be in the street more. I think that we are too often behind closed doors. Very often you will see Kemetic adherents, people who are actually following the tradition, not just studying history, because I think sometimes you confuse people who simply study history. I don't mean you as in.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean people.
I got you covered.
Confuse people who are just studying history with people who actually are part of Kemetic traditions, right? We are always inside doing detoxes. You could even look at some of the work. This is probably the best work that you can find publicly.
You talk about cleaning your system.
I'm
from
talking about
drugs.
cleaning your system from drugs and other things that we're addicted to. So it's not just
Right,
drugs.
right.
It's white sugar. It's all kinds of stuff, right? So you could even see
y'all got that health. One thing I'll give y'all, not to cut y'all off, but y'all got one thing I give them blackity blacks. That's what I call y'all. One thing I give y'all blackity blacks. You want to get some healthy shit? You talk to Inky. You talk to them. They will get your health together. I'll give y'all that.
Yeah. So we've been doing it indoors. So you might not see it on the streets. And I think that the Kemetic tradition needs to be on the street. So
okay, so
in this sense,
agree.
I think I agree with you that we're not in the streets enough. Yeah.
My next question.
Okay, come.
You want to ask him?
So
no, go ahead.
So can I say something? So when you see me setting up on the same block with you,
right?
Don't get upset.
I mean, y'all late though. But to be honest, that's where it's supposed to be. Like it's cool. Like how we got indoors. Like right now we're indoors. Like we have classes Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. here in Harlem.
Right.
But we also go out on the street.
Sure.
You know what I mean? We go to different events and venues.
Sure.
And we challenge everyone.
Right.
Anybody that's doing anything that's against Black people or Hispanic people, we challenge them on that. We don't see that from, I have to give Muslims a little bit of credit, even though I don't believe in their ideologies, but you might see them not as much anymore, but you used to see them being known for being out there, not as much no more. But as far as African-centered folk, I've never seen them.
You know what? I think that's a fair critique.
You understand?
I think that's a fair critique.
And I'm gonna tell you, and I'm glad that you said that. And at least you're honest enough. We'll see if you're honest for the rest of the night. At least you're
I'm a
honest
priest.
enough
I know no other way
to admit that, because one of the biggest things where y'all got to shut up about is saying anything against us. Because when you're seeing Black men out there, you're seeing former drug dealers not being drug dealers and loving brothers and sisters enough to help other brothers and sisters get off. I don't see that remedy being pushed with nothing Kemetic, whether you want to talk about the laws of Ma'at or anything like that. I don't see that. That's what we're known for.
To be fair, how many practitioners have you spoken to?
Everybody that when you say practitioners, I'm assuming that's a Kemetic term, right?
No, it's an English term.
Okay, if I go with what I've seen, I've been involved in
there
the
there it goes. Get it on camera. Get it on camera. There's the help. There's the help.
There go the help.
There it go. There it go. There it go. Yeah, I hear you. That's
threat.
you. Listen, you're not supposed to deal deceitfully,
let me tell you.
Hey, Floyd's
Let me
trainer-
tell you.
Floyd's trainer did not go in the ring while he was throwing punches or blocking. That's when he hit him with a low blow. But let me
tell you what he said.
When you say, no, I don't want to know.
You don't want to know.
I don't want to know.
I think you should know.
I don't. But when you say, I don't want to know. I don't want to.
Because I think if you heard what he said, you might think he's like giving me a key.
He
said all Hebrews don't believe that.
But practitioners.
That's what he said.
When you say practitioners, I look at my time experience with the conscious community since September 2013, right when I encountered Polite. Since I've encountered him, I've encountered plenty of Kemetic scholars, practitioners, whatever it is that they want to call. I've never seen nobody. The closest, please don't get mad at me, but the closest I've come to somebody actually being on the street is when Poppy had that incident, and the cat from Straight Black Pride, Irritated Genie, actually came on the corner with me. That's the only time that I've ever seen anybody from the Kemetic side on the streets dealing with an issue.
But wait. Yeah, I think you're actually merging two conversations. No. The question you asked me, you said that you don't see any of the practitioners dealing with the folks who are the drug dealers or the prostitutes. And I've agreed to you that we're not on the street enough. In fact,
I don't see y'all at all. But my claim is, since I've been involved with y'all, I don't see y'all on the streets at all.
I'm gonna say two things. First of all, you should know that some of your brothers probably saw me on the street, because the Shrine of Ma'at is based in Harlem. We are the only Kemetic shrine in Harlem.
I've never seen you.
So,
I've never even heard of
set
you
up right down the block from you.
Found you or something.
Right down the block. And some of y'all were like, y'all were ice.
You sure that was us?
Y'all were ice. I'm positive. Y'all the only ones that take that corner right there.
We take all corners.
No, I'm talking about the corner. I'm talking about the corner on 125th Street.
Okay, hold on for a second. No, hold on for a second.
Sure.
Okay, you were there, but it was somebody else on a soapbox, and I think all y'all were wearing white.
Yes.
Okay, I did see that.
Yes.
And hold on though. Y'all were out there for about 3.5 minutes.
No, that's not
true. Did some kind of little
video.
Hold on, let me finish.
Was they down the street by the gym
for 3.5 minutes by the gym?
Did some little?
Can
you imagine? They would like to say,
and then they were gone.
Family,
gone.
Listen,
and here's the thing: being outside and addressing issues outside is two different things.
That was one time I saw y'all in my short stay.
Let me say,
I'm here 6 years.
Let me say
one
something.
time in 6 years.
Let me say something very careful, very clearly. We are not only on that corner, right? I have had a public ministry. If you even just Google Jabari El-Sazi, you're gonna get a lot. You're gonna see I've been doing this for a very long time.
Okay, but
let me. Wait. You made an assertion. I want to respond.
Go ahead.
He said I was there for 3.5 minutes. I know you're joking, right?
No.
Because if you just look for the video, let me answer.
Right.
If you just, I didn't see you, Captain Desire, because I knew who you were. I didn't see you, but you should understand that after that we went back to our shrine. And we carried many people with us. So you have to understand what we were there for. And you should expect to see us even more, because I agree with you that the Kemetic practitioners are not on the street enough. Now, I'm going to tell you something else. We sat there with Mfundishi, and Mfundishi is on that street almost every day. Mfundishi is a practitioner.
He's out there, though.
He sells things. Yes, he does.
We talk about something different.
But I want to be. I will exclude. But I want to be clear with you that you're going to see us more, because I agree that we're not there enough. So
we'll see.
We're not
I don't
even
want to spend too much time. I just wanted to see. I'm actually glad.
But here's the point. Let me just say this. I'm gonna say it real quick.
Okay, no sweat.
Real quick. We do a lot of work indoors, and so I think that it is unfortunate that more people don't know where we are and what we're doing.
So the Israelites have a stronger presence in the street than Kemet. And once again, I didn't hear y'all speaking against social issues or against drug dealers, anything like that. And we were there before you and broke down after. And it was one time in 6 years.
First of all, one time on that corner, right? That's one thing you have to acknowledge. And I would say it is true that I.S.U.P.K is on the street. I don't know about in the street, but on the street more than we are. I think the preposition is important here, brothers. So I have been working
That's
with
about it.
people
What we
in
want- we
our
gonna change the
community. Wait,
question.
you got to listen. I have been working. Listen here. I'm answering your question.
I got headphones on. I
we
can hear
have
you.
been listening.
We
can hear you.
I have been. No, what happens sometimes is y'all looking elsewhere, and then I say it,
and
and you say I didn't answer it. I'm like, did you hear what I said?
Have an ISUPK.
So listen to what I'm saying.
You see us doing all of that.
Listen
we
what
can
I'm saying.
still hear everything. But before you go further, you about to talk about some inside shit. We don't care about inside.
No, that's
We only
not.
care
That's
about
not what I'm
outside.
saying.
Okay, as long as it's all outside.
All I'm saying to you now, how could you say that the only thing that matters is the stuff you do
I'm
outside?
talking about
When we sitting in a room right now, we're not on the street,
based
family.
on the question. The question was, what do you guys do outside?
No, but you're merging two questions. You're merging two
I'm not
questions
questioning-
because you did ask about what we do in the street,
right?
and I already admitted that we're not there enough.
Okay,
but
no
then
sweat.
you
Then we gonna
also
move on to the
said,
next
you
question.
also said, what are we doing to help those people who are drug dealers and
But you said that. You said y'all.
Okay.
You said
I just want to be clear that
y'all
we're
do
saying two different
inside.
things. Yeah,
Right. You said y'all do that inside
because I think that
we do it outside and inside.
the impression
But
might
you gotta
be
have feet on the ground.
the impression might be that we're not doing anything because you don't see us on the street, and I think that that is not necessarily true. Let me say that.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next question. We go. Oh wait, you want to say something, Si? Get him on camera. Let him say something. Give him the mic.
Yeah, what I want to say is that
As long as you ain't asking no questions.
No,
it gotta be like,
I'm not gonna ask the question.
No sweat.
you try to make it appear as though all Hebrew Israelites are on the street and doing work. There are more Israelites that's not in the street,
The
that's in the home,
ISUPK is not
that's not
affiliated
in the
with any
street doing
Hebrew
work.
Israelite. The
Let me- see,
ISUPK
brother, I
is
didn't
not.
cut you off,
I
brother.
hear you, but I just
Now,
said you should
I'm
know
gonna
the
let you go.
disclaimer.
Let me finish so I can get it
Go
back to
ahead.
it.
Go ahead.
He just said the ISUPK is not affiliated
With any.
no other
Right.
Israelite group.
But
what you're saying don't apply to us.
It's irrelevant.
Well, let me tell you why it do. Because you're not the only Hebrew Israelite.
We
You
are.
didn't say ISUPK is the one that's in the street. You said we, us, the Hebrew
Hey, what-
Israelites.
hey, you Floyd, what's
right or wrong?
Floyd Mayweather's
You said the
uncle
Hebrew
name? What's
Israelites.
his
There
uncle
are
name?
more Hebrew Israelites.
Hey, somebody in the
that's
chat, give me
inside,
Floyd
that's not
Mayweather's
outside.
uncle's name.
Many
I
of
need
them.
Floyd May. Did I hear? I need
Not
Floyd.
say you're the only Hebrew Israelite.
Yeah,
I need
damn right.
Floyd Mayweather.
I just want to make sure you
Uncle's
say
name.
that and everybody hears you.
No, I hope they do, and they know
Okay.
that I'm adamant when it comes down to
Hey,
that.
Okay.
somebody need to. We need to change Sinetter's name. We need Floyd Mayweather's uncle's. That's his trainer. We need his name.
Now, folks,
But don't say
for
nothing.
those of you
I
who
wanna
are
change the
listening,
subject. I
did
wanna
he
change-
actually just help me, or did he just
Yeah,
add his own
he did.
information?
Roger, we're gonna call you Roger for the
Okay.
rest of the night, Si.
Right.
So anyway, so now the next question that we want to ask, this is kind of totally different now. When it comes to the white man, right?
The Tombo, I call him.
When you say, you know what, I've been trying, you say that shit. I've been trying to figure out how the hell you spell that shit all week. Is it?
Why didn't you text me and ask me, man?
I ain't
Come
got
on
your
now.
number. I don't have your number.
We need to
Yeah,
share
we can
numbers.
exchange. How do you spell that?
Usually, now remember, we're approximating something in English that's not an English
Right,
language.
right.
So you
Right.
may see a few different spellings.
Right.
But generally, when I spell this, usually Tamhou. Sometimes you'll see Tamahu, Tamahou.
Okay. I
And
got
so
you.
that's essentially what you'll see.
Okay, no sweat.
Right.
So now, when it comes to the white man,
Mhm.
right, according to I guess like Kemetic, because I
Kemetic
remember when we had
spirituality.
when we had our second conversation,
Mhm.
you were saying that we all come from a black mother.
Mhm.
So now, when it comes to the white man, where does he fit in that equation?
I think it should be clear that I do believe that all people on the planet came from one black woman. However, I think that Tom, who for the most part has been away from the mother for a much longer period of time, their culture has become the virtual opposite of African culture. Their interests, they have made it seem that their interests are antithetical to African interest. I think we're going to both have to deal. I say the Tom who, I could easily say the white man. I don't disagree with that.
Right.
We're going to have to deal with that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So if the white man would be related to you then?
The white man is related to everybody. Yeah.
Okay. So
now I think that just like you have some members of the family that do things that are so damaging that you need to either keep them away or have a reckoning with them, I think that that's what's going to have to happen. And so when I say Africans, you could say that the Tom who is from Africa, but they have not been from Africa culturally, spiritually, linguistically for a very long period of time.
Okay. And a part of the reason why we asked you that question, because I get a different answer from different Kemetic scholars, priests, whatever they call themselves. Some say Neanderthal, etc., like that. So I wanted to see where you came from.
There are differences.
I got you.
Yeah.
The next question that I have is when it comes to the earth and creation, how were the different races created? Like how did they come about? Like, even though if you say we come from one black woman, according to your theology, we look different. Like Asians look a little different, Arabs look a little different. Now we all got eyes, noses, and facial features and skin tone and stuff like that, but we have differences that make us different. So in your creation, where do the races come from?
I actually, when I say that everyone comes from one black woman, it's not my theology. That's a scientific estimation.
Okay, so your scientific estimation, we come from one woman.
Yes.
So where do the races come from?
And I'll tell you something interesting. I don't think that there is a section of the Kemetic story that clearly, and I should say that we're talking about creation stories now, that clearly describes that other ethnic groups, and I'm gonna use racial groups with air quotes, come from a different place. In the creation story, it doesn't describe that. But I will say to you that there are some descriptions. For example, in the Book of Gates, there's some images, and this is the oldest image of the Tamhu, of the European, is in a Kemetic tomb. And it describes the people who were children of Ra that we had interaction with.
Okay.
And the Tamhu was there.
Okay.
So
another question is off of creation.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Right?
Yeah. I'm doing an order.
Okay.
Unless you want me to do something.
No.
Okay,
they gotta order questions. It'd be nice if I had to order.
It says, do you accept young Ma and other women who portray themselves as men?
Oh, no, we did skip one, but before we
I don't even know if I know who Young Ma is.
Like Young Ma.
She's like
but I was gonna say I want to backtrack for a second.
Sure.
So, what creation story do you subscribe to? Like, what is your narration of creation?
There are many creation stories in ancient
when it comes to Kemet, but
yeah.
So now, do you actually stand by them? You
yes.
understand? Okay.
I stand by them philosophically and spiritually.
Okay.
There are four major ones. Yes, all of them.
Okay.
And they sound different, and that's because creation stories are different than scientific stories of the creation or how things got here. Creation stories have us understand the nature of things, the relationship of things. What is our relationship between us and the divine, us and Ra, us and the Ntiru, the creative forces? That's really what creation stories tell us. They're not meant to be read as a literal history in that sense.
Okay, I from a biblical standpoint, I disagree for a little bit, just because even like for a moment ago when you said that it's not supposed to line up with science.
Oh, that's not what I said.
They
have a different aim. You know what I mean?
Okay.
A creation story has a different purpose than the scientific story of how humans came to this place.
So you're saying it has a different purpose,
right?
But so now you're saying that Kemet doesn't line up, because a moment ago you stated that scientifically they state that everybody came from one black woman.
No. I wasn't speaking Kemetically. I was speaking in terms of science.
That wasn't what I said, though. Okay, that's what I said. I said scientifically.
Yeah.
I just said scientifically.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna come forward. So a moment ago we spoke about science. Now I come back. So now with Kemet, so you're saying that those stories don't line up with science.
I think that there are some similarities with science, but they aren't all similar. And I don't think it necessarily needs to be. Because they have a different aim. It's almost like trying to wear a pair of gloves on your feet and thinking they're shoes. You know what I mean? That your gloves have a different purpose than your shoes.
Oh, okay. I kind of see what you're saying there. But now, just back now, because even I want to backtrack. That night when you understand, Captain Tizaya had to check so-called Hebrew brothers. You understand, brotherly. The night that they interrupted your speaking.
The Hebrew Avengers event.
Right. So now I heard that you make a statement along the lines of, when it comes down to the creation story with Geb, you understand that it seems like a very homosexual story. You understand, if you read it literally.
I wouldn't agree with that.
I mean, anybody who was to ejaculate inside their mouth and then spew creation out, that seems pretty homosexual.
Well,
but
hold on, by definition, what's a homosexual?
I'll let you speak though.
Yes,
you understand?
please. I did not mean to interrupt you. I'm just trying
I just think it's pretty gay if anybody puts a rod in their mouth, even if it's their own. But so my point is that I saw you turn it into a metaphor for the earth spitting it out, and this, that, or the third, whatever the case may be. Like, you know, you tried to clean it up a little bit. You tried to do your little Kemet shuffle. Let me finish. I'm gonna give it back to you.
Go ahead.
You understand? But for example, like in the scriptures, when it talks about something being spewed out, whether it's metaphorically or not, it never has to do with a rod in a man's mouth.
Ever.
You understand? It'll talk about a literal ocean spewing out dead bodies, which you understand, which is the masses of the world spewing out the bodies, you understand, that are going to get clean, that they're no longer in that sea of death. You understand? And then they come to life spiritually. You understand? Nowhere in there is what seems to be a very homosexual message. You understand? So I didn't see that. You understand, from your breakdown. So even if it was that, why would they portray it like that?
Well, first of all, let me say to you that homosexuality is intercourse between same sex, right? And so if you even believe that you saw a man putting his rod into his mouth, which is not actually what the story is, then
That's
you
debatable.
would, by definition, no, it's not debatable. I'm telling you the fact.
Go ahead.
Listen, this whole interrupting. This
I could show you. I could show you that.
No,
I mean, you brought me here to talk about the Kemetic tradition. I'm telling you a fact.
So let me hear.
I'm not going to tell you anything that I don't believe is true. Okay. And if I make an error, I'll correct it later. I'll say, you know what? I said something. I said the wrong thing. You know, I'll try to correct it because that's what I'm supposed to do. So, let me say to you that if you thought you were looking at a man putting his rod in his mouth, first of all, you're not looking at a man put a rod in his mouth. You are looking at Geb, and you know who Geb is? Katasa, do you know what Geb is? Geb is the personification of what?
If I'm not mistaken, he wasn't the earth, right?
He is the earth.
The earth, right?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken,
he's the earth. So that when you actually see seed going into the earth, you should understand that you're seeing seed in the earth. I think I saw somebody eating an apple earlier. If you uncomfortable with that, then maybe you got Geb seed in your mouth right now. So I just want you to be clear that if you are untrained and unfamiliar, maybe you don't understand what you're seeing, and so you should ask someone about it. So Geb is the earth. Geb is not a man at all. Geb's phallus, his henonym, is not in his mouth, right? And we are talking about how seed comes forth from the earth. And I know that the picture is confusing. I understand that. I am not beating you up for being confused by it, because a lot of the average person who saw that without any context would be confused.
Before Geb was around, right? As far as the creation story goes, was there anything? Because he was the earth, right?
Yes, there was something that came before.
Was there something for him to eat?
For him to eat?
Yeah, because you gave the analogy.
I don't think there's any
apple. You said you gave the analogy if we eat an apple with a seed in it, like that, right? So my question to you is: we know sperm is called seed too, and sperm is synonymous with bringing forth life. When we see our children, we call them seeds, correct?
Sometimes, yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
No sweat. So when he says he put forth seed in his mouth, the same way you want to make it plausible for an apple, it could be plausible for that.
Plausible for what?
For him putting his own sperm in his mouth, spitting it forth, and bringing forth creation.
If he is the earth, yes, seed must go into earth in order for anything to be created.
Look at what you say. You say he's the earth.
Yes.
He's putting his earth in his mouth.
He's not. No. He's putting seed in his mouth.
From where?
It comes from him. He's the earth.
He put his seed in his own mouth.
But you said he put his earth in his mouth. Listen.
But you agree that image looked like a rock.
Listen. He's gonna make a lot of noise and not listen. So if we're gonna have a conversation, you gotta listen.
That's fine. I got
you said he put earth in his mouth. He is the earth.
I know.
So what I'm saying to you is if you are not able to understand the image, if you don't have any background, it would look really strange.
I got you. Here's what I know.
I understand that when you looked at it, you said, "What the heck is going on?"
No, actually,
the average person.
Actually, I didn't do that. I'm gonna tell you. When you think about evidence, so to speak, right? You have to look at the culture of a people to understand if something could be true or if something could be false. So let's take Gab and let's say we go with your theory that it wasn't homosexual at all.
What is homosexuality?
If a man puts sperm in his mouth,
no. Give me a definition for homosexuality.
Right. So I know that you said get him on get him on camera. He said,
you said if a
man puts his sperm,
I'm asking
you don't need the mic.
Okay.
If a man puts his own
I'm
sperm
asking you for a
in his
definition of
mouth,
homosexuality.
homosexuality in true definition would be male, same sex. So with man to man, woman to woman. But also putting your own sperm in your own mouth, that's homosexual too. No sweat.
Well,
Okay,
brother,
no sweat. No sweat.
brother.
Oh no, I got you. No sweat.
Let me wait. Wait.
Let me
go further.
Okay,
let me
so
go.
Then you
let
would
me,
put
let
your
me go
sperm in your
further.
own mouth.
Let me go further.
Okay, no sweat.
Sod Netter is not the earth.
I got you. No
and
sweat.
neither am I.
got
So
but
you
that's
will not
the point.
find anyone, any adherent to Kemetic spirituality that says that you should put your seed in your mouth.
No sweat.
Okay.
But that ain't really my point. I'm just glad that y'all both said this putting sperm in your mouth is not homosexual. You fucked up bad. No, it's not. But so now, but my point is when you go with evidence, right? We have to look at the culture. We have to look at the culture of that place to see if it was faggoty or if it was straight leg. So you take Gab and you can say, okay, we could be confused. But you have other deities or gods, which we have a question that we're going to ask you about that. We kind of jumping, but it's okay. So if you take Horus and Seth, for example, and whether you want to call it a lesson or what have you, these deities competed with trying to have sex with each other. And when you go into the
could you read the? I think that you need to read. That's not.
I'm good with the sound. Okay, I read this from a couple of sources: Miriam Litcham, Budge, I think like maybe one more.
It's helpful. It's helpful for you to read it now if you're gonna say that, because I think you're making an assertion that's not the text.
No, I'm not making an assertion. I've searched this. It's very interesting to me when we bring up stuff. The one thing I do know about Kemet is that the history. I would never say that it ain't tarnished. I would never say nothing from history is not tarnished. I actually don't really like history that much because it really depends on who was in charge at that time. Like Queen Hatshepsut, for example, her image was tarnished. Like y'all like to act like y'all was so strong on women, but they did not like her when she was ruling. And when the ruler came after her, got rid of all of her statues. It took a long time for them to actually find a statue of her. But that's just an example of how y'all treated it. That's what I was asking you. Hold. Yeah, that's why I was asking you if you heard me.
I think that's.
But my point is.
Okay, go ahead. You're going far afield. I don't want to answer. And if I try to answer it all, you're going to say I'm talking too long. So don't go too far afield.
You keep throwing me off. Okay, but my point is, if you take Horus and Seth and their sexual encounter where they had to go before a council and one of them called sperm out of Seth's ear, that's homosexual. If you take Men, the god Men, his statue is a man's rod. And if you're going to tell me it's okay to put a statue of a man's rod in your house, then it's nothing wrong with America pushing the homosexuality that they're pushing.
Okay.
So when I base
can I answer? Because
I'm going to give it to you.
You're going far afield.
When I base the homosexuality with Gab, I look at how Horus and Seth were, and then I also look at Men. And then what happens is you're going to come and filibuster and try to make it clean. And try to make it non.
And before you do, I gotta add on.
He is going really far.
Is this the image you were talking about?
I can't see that from here. But wait, can I answer him first? Let me answer him first.
I'm piggybacking off of him.
Because you know what's happening. You're going so far afield that it's hard for me to answer it all, right? And I don't want. And then when I answer, you say I'm filibustering. But you said a lot. So first of all, let me say wait. Come on. Let me.
You can talk. They can hear you.
That's not. Yeah, but they're seeing what he's saying when I'm trying to talk. That's very distracting. So I think one of the things I promise I will talk to. I'm waiting for you. I'm not trying to run. No, I'm good. Listen. So I want you to understand very clearly here that we're not talking about human beings. That's the first thing you have to discard with.
I do agree with that.
And I know that you've said that this is homosexual. You see an erect man and you say it's homosexual. I don't know why. If you have an erect man, why is that homosexual?
In your house,
he is not putting his rod into anything. First, let me finish. So you're interrupting me.
Yes, this time.
Well, if you're interrupting me, then how would I do not have children right now?
No, you don't.
So I want you to understand.
You came in his son's room, and instead of there being naked women on the wall, there was just dicks.
First of all, let me say this to you. You know what part of the problem is here? Let me take the global view for a second. Part of the problem is that the tradition that you are in You got to hear this.
I'm listening. I can hear you. I'm getting my headphones.
The tradition that you are in is overly literal. And so when you see things, you can only see them in the most literal sense. Ancient Africans were not literal. And because you're coming to this from a literal sense, I'd have to say to you, we're talking about creation. In the ancient Kemetic tradition, every male had a male and female, and they created from there. In your tradition, I see two dudes. So if anybody is homosexual, I think you need to question your own doctrine, because that is where we see what must be homosexual. Let's go further. See, you were not listening.
You said
this is what I'm saying to you. You have to listen if we're going to have a dialogue. The other challenge I have to you is this. You have said that this is homosexual because you're looking at this literally. Now, family, I know you may not know how long I've been watching your tradition, but haven't you had a problem with literalism? If this was the year 1999, we would be in a bomb shelter because y'all thought that the creator was going to come forward and put the black man back on the top of the world. Instead, in 2016, we got a Tom Who devil like Donald Trump. So your problem with literalism caused a problem in your tradition. My understanding is you even had to change the name of your school, because that understanding, which was overly literal, was so overwrought and so broken that you had to just start over. So I want to say to you that if you're going to be overly literal, it will cause you problems. And that is the ultimate problem that we have with Geb. It's the ultimate problem we have with men. And I don't understand how you can be so literal when in your tradition I see two dudes that created all of creation. And so if you want to say that my tradition is homosexual, explain to me how your dudes do it.
I got you.
I see the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. 3 dudes in your tradition.
I got you. When Kadas, I have first asked you that question, and we was talking about
which question?
About the drug dealing and stuff like that. When we first spoke about that, we was talking about how some things are literal, some things are not literal. Like we established that in the beginning of this interview. So when you say we take it too literal, it keep falling. I'm sorry, it keep falling off.
Maybe the clip is loose.
You know what? Okay, let me see if I
go clip him. Go clip him. It's hard to do it yourself, man.
Is that good right there? All right, no sweat.
This beard's gonna rub it. You know these Hebrews got big beards, man.
Hey, man, if I can plug my oil.
That's right.
Get that
By
oil.
the way, can I say something?
Get that oil up in there.
I have used T.D.JAKES oil.
Yeah, man.
He was really generous enough to give me a bottle, and the oil is nice. Let's be real. Let's be real.
All right, so now, when where I had left off at is we don't look. It's not so much that we're looking at it literal, because I don't believe none of that garbage. I don't believe
which garbage.
Gab, new.
No, I know you don't believe my tradition. I'm saying in your tradition, you're taking it too literally.
No, we don't. Some things are metaphorical.
Brother T.D.JAKES, you believe that the clouds will open and chariots will come down.
Now, again, what we like to do is we like to bring up the Bible. We're not talking about the Bible. We might talk about the Bible a little later. We're not talking about that right now.
No, we can't do that because you are biblically based. That's where your understanding comes from.
It's literal. I don't look at Geb as it's literal. I don't look at Horus and Seth as it's literal. I look at it like Reggie said, it's just supposed to be a story, right? All of it. So now when I look at it, you're telling me the best story that you can describe about gods is that they was trying to have sex with each other?
First of all,
that's the best story.
That is, I never said that.
That's not what he said. No,
and you have to.
Neither one of y'all said. I'm not saying y'all said that. I said when you tell me that story, the best story that you can tell me is not humans. Like when you think about the story of Lot, right? The story of Sodom and Gomorrah. That's not gods trying to have sex with people.
Can I say this?
That's men.
Let me clarify.
To be African men at that. Let me let like Jabari.
Let me clarify.
What Jabari like to always talk about is Lot giving up his daughters and how the angels protected them. What he failed to tell you,
the angels did not protect the daughters, did they?
Yeah, they protected the daughters.
That's not what that story says.
What happened to the daughters?
The daughters were not taken.
Why?
The mob didn't see.
Wait, why?
We want to read. Why don't you read it?
I know the answer already.
Read the
angels intervened and helped them.
The quote.
They left the city safely.
Read the flow of the quote.
My point is, those was African homosexuals.
Brother.
Sodom and
Stop
Gomorrah,
it.
Sodom and Gomorrah
Stop
were
it.
Africans.
Stop
They
it.
were not.
Stop it.
They were not Israelites.
Listen.
Lot was a Hebrew.
Come on.
He was not an Israelite. Sodom and Gomorrah was
Where
about
are Sodom and Gomorrah? Where are they?
Where
is
about
that?
Africans
Where
being
is it?
homosexuals.
Where is Sodom and Gomorrah?
Pull that up for me. So now, when you say we take it literal, we don't. It's just that y'all describe the stories in the worst way possible. You said our story has three men, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? They didn't create mankind in the sense of how we reproduce. A man and a woman, or men and women, is what created mankind physically. Well, you on the sixth day when man, like our story don't have to have this magic shit like y'all got. Like you ain't got to have a man that bring forth, he bring forth creation like that. You don't have to have that. Our story is real simple. On the sixth day, mankind was created and they produce. It's very simple. It's not that deep. So
listen.
You weasel.
Is it all right if I talk too? Because my name's in the title. Like I'm not helping him. I'm just
talking. So you made
whenever
a point
you
to tell
get
me.
The mic.
You made a point to tell me that you would not intervene.
Listen.
This will be your fourth time.
Listen. Can I say?
I said we interviewing Jabari with Sinetta, like you would be in the building, but you not the one.
Whenever you catch the mic,
take you out.
Wait, listen. Let me say something. Whenever he touches the mic,
to do with being scared.
Whenever he touches the mic, y'all say that he's trying to help me. Sinetta has been doing this for a long time. He has his own ideas that he wants to share. It is really hard to be behind the camera and not say anything. That's what's happening.
Right.
So you should know. So that's what happens. But let me say this to you. If you weren't so literal,
we're not.
Then why in the world did you think
metaphysical?
Then what? So tell me what happened in the year 2000 with your school.
Before we even get anywhere near there,
what happened with your school in 2000?
Hold. This is what I want to know. Can you get Bubba Shaw? This image right here, is this an accurate image? Is this the same image we were speaking of
when
earlier?
You say accurate, what do you mean?
What I'm trying to say is that is this a depiction of Geb and the creation?
This is Geb.
This is Geb.
Yes.
Now this is what makes me not able to latch on to your story. Is that they could have drew a tree or an apple and a seed. And you said this is the earth and not a man.
You know what?
They're showing
a
man with
what
dick
part of the
aimed at his mouth.
You know what part of the challenge is?
No. Listen, you've been speaking.
Go ahead.
So
finish.
thank you.
Finish.
So you've been saying, okay, this is not supposed to be literal. This is this is that. And this is the earth, and it's, an apple seed. You might have an apple seed in your mouth right now. I don't know this, but I don't see a tree. I don't see a fruit. I don't see a vegetable. I don't see a nut. I don't see.
Can I respond because you're saying the same thing now? Let me respond.
I just gotta reiterate.
You're reiterating a lot. Let me respond. Can I respond?
Right.
Can I respond?
They could have drew an apple.
Can I respond? Can I respond?
Go ahead,
you have to understand that every spiritual tradition has levels of understanding.
Okay.
And there's some text. There's some text that would never have been available to the average person who didn't have access to deeper teachings, right? And so you have to understand that, unfortunately, with the internet and other things, you're seeing some things that you're not prepared to see. The person who would have seen that would never have thought about that.
Earth, you mean? As the earth.
They never would have seen that and said, this is a man putting the seed in his mouth. They never would have seen it that way.
But they would have.
So you have to understand that they would have been fully in possession of the concepts of who Geb is, what he represents. Okay. And they would have been able to have a different understanding. But because you're looking at it and you're not initiated, because you're looking at it and you're very literal, you are very literal.
No, we're not.
Sorry, if you believe the clouds will open up, let me finish.
I know.
You're interrupting me now. You're interrupting me now.
I know you said.
Because I was saying something.
You said that earlier, though.
But I want to say it and then have you respond.
Say it
if
again,
you
please.
Actually believe that at the end times the clouds will open up and some dudes on some chariots will come down, then you're being ultimately literal. And we know that if I have a critique of ISUPK, And let me be really clear, because we do this debate thing, we end up critiquing
a
lot.
Debate, though. This is our
but
radio
it's
show.
going back and forth is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
They're going back and forth
right.
stuff.
Now that part is true.
What happens is that we don't get to actually hear all of our ideas. And I want you to understand that there's a lot about I.S.U.P.K. I respect, right? There's a lot about I.S.U.P.K. I respect and admire.
Right.
The things that I have challenged with is always how literal you take things. And that's a problem. And you should see it as a problem too.
Okay, no
especially after what happened to you at the Millennium. And I want you to talk to, because I know the family, that's now 18 years ago. Right. I'm sure that even some folks aren't familiar with what happened. So why don't you tell us about what happened in 2000?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. I want to change the subject.
I doubt we will, but
I want to change the subject or change the conversation just a little bit. When it comes to which way do I want to go? To the women.
You sure you want to go in that direction?
Yeah, absolutely.
You made a point to say that talk about the Bible being misogynistic, right?
There is a video that I put up on Sinai's platform that.
Well, I'm not really necessarily saying the video. I've just known, right. And actually, I'm gonna tell you something. What I did like, actually, that was the one you did with Dr. Ma'at. I actually liked it when you was getting mad at me. Actually, if you ask Sinai, tell him right. Ain't that true? So I did not text you, tell you I liked it. So that way, when I get spirited myself, can't nobody say nothing because he got spirited at me. But at least I'm doing it directly instead of in a camera. But anyway, when it comes to women, a week or so ago, I'm gonna big up a brother, Issacharite brother. His name is Jashub, right? And a week ago, I'm gonna play this clip. Now it might not come out too loud. They might not hear it on there. Or I'm gonna just speak about it. A week ago, they asked you about the maxims of Ptah-hotep. When it comes to the maxim of Ptah-hotep, before this day, that was like your goddamn.
And I just want to go on record. Cap X 2 years ago on our way to Chicago, X said the same question and he completely avoided it.
Right.
Avoided what?
This question. And the brother Jashub read how in the well, first, the maxim of Ptah-hotep was like your Catholic Holy Grail. And I'm gonna tell you what I mean when I say that. Used to bring that up. The oldest book is in the history is the maxim of Ptah-hotep.
Actually,
of divine
if you're going to imitate me,
book.
If you're going to imitate me, get it right at least. It's the world's oldest complete book. Yes. I want to play this part because I want you to hear what he says. It's so strange for you to play a video of someone who's sitting right here.
I could tell you, but I don't want to get your words wrong.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah, because
I know they're not gonna hear. I want to, because you called it divine here. You said, I'll stop it. When you did a debate with Israel Doctrine, you called the maxim of Ptah-hotep. You acknowledged there was an old man who was a vizier, passing it down to a young, passing it down to a vizier, a younger vizier, which was not the norm.
Well,
it was normal.
He wasn't actually a younger vizier, but
he was younger than him because this guy was like 100 years old, right?
It's his spiritual
but it was
son.
Right. It wasn't normal to pass that down to him.
Wasn't normal to pass what down?
The visorship. If I'm saying
I don't think that he passed the visorship down to him.
Yeah.
But let me say to you that when he wrote the book, he was writing it for a young man who was just getting on his way.
But the purpose of it was for him to take over his role. That was the purpose.
Actually, the belief was that he was going to become king.
The son, excuse me, the spiritual son.
Yeah.
Either way, whether it be king or take over his role,
it
was for divine ship, because that's what you said with Israel Doctrine. You said it was divine.
You're making up words now, Cap.
Divine ship is made up. Divine is not. But you said it was divinely inspired.
He was leading. He was
to say something to say something is divinely inspired is to say that it comes from a higher power.
Okay, so why don't you maybe you should play the clip.
Now he wants me to play. He said
because
you see that?
Because I think he is saying something.
He said I don't have to play it because
but what's your question though? There's a question here.
You said it was divinely inspired with Israel Doctrine. When the brother Jashub played read what the Maxim of Ptah-hotep says in regards to women. When it says, for that woman, keep her from power, control her. Right. Now, I don't believe that that makes it patriarchal.
Can I ask you to read? Can you read the earlier part of the text? Have you read the Maxim of Ptah-hotep?
I read some of it, and I'm not.
So how are you going to use a clip and not have read the book?
Let me finish.
That's some sloppy scholarship.
What he's going to do is he's going to bring a part where it says something good about.
Can I read the Maxim to you?
It says, "Don't contend with her in court. Keep her from power. Her eye is a storm."
Let me read the. I can give it to you. You want me to give it to you? You can read it.
Don't. That's not my point. My point, and it ain't even got nothing to do with patriarchal, because all patriarchal means you just come from the seed of your father. It's not that deep. A woman can be as
that's patrilineal.
But
that's not patriarchal.
What you tried to imply,
you get the difference between patriarchal and patrilineal.
With the greatest book that was divinely inspired, when it comes to the woman, it said to keep her from power, control her. And what you said to me what you said to the brother Jashub spoke volumes, because you said what you should know is that there are some people that are coming. You named Sunjeti, and you said that they're coming with a different, with a retranslation, right? And you said, and even if they come with the retranslation and it says the same exact thing, I'm not going to follow that. That's what you said.
No, that's not what I said.
That is what you said.
No, that's not what I said. I said that if okay.
Trying to get.
You got to go further down.
I'm trying to get it.
You got to go further down. That's early in my statement. You got to go further.
I'm trying.
I can tell you what I said.
You said that if it said that. You can speak in the mic. Yeah, speak in the
mic. If
it
says keep her, I wasn't trying to interrupt.
No,
I wanted you to hear.
Oh, I got you.
Right. What I said was if it sounds like it is something that is negative to women, this is the spirit of what I said. I would not preach that.
Hold on 1 second. Callers, we're not going to take no calls just yet. Give us like another maybe 30 minutes or so, and we'll take your call. That's a caller.
Sure. That's cool. That's cool. So that is what I said. I said that if it does sound like something that is speaking against our sisters, that I would say that I would speak against it, is what I said.
Right. So you would speak against the Maxim of Ptah-hotep
that section,
are divinely inspired, meaning you disagree with what he got from his deity.
He doesn't say he gets, well,
come on now.
Let me do this.
Come on now.
Because I don't want to quabble. I don't want to squibble. I don't want to squabble over the little stuff.
No, this is not little, because you made your whole thing about how the Bible is against women.
I'm about to agree with you.
How Kemet is
I'm about to agree with you. There are two things that have to happen here, because the family hasn't read the Maxims of Ptah-hotep. Apparently, neither have you.
No, I've read some.
Well, you haven't. But you got to read the quote that you're reading.
No, I've read that. No, I've read.
Well, let's read the quote.
I read it already.
Well, let's read it. No.
That quote that I said,
you read. That's not even a sentence.
You said read the quote.
You didn't even read a sentence.
And Katazai started from the beginning when it said,
"I'll even give it to you to read."
Don't contend with her in court. We read the quote.
Okay, now wait a minute. This is Maxim 21. It says, "When you prosper and found your house, and love your wife with ardor, fill her belly, clothe her back, ointment soothes her body, gladden her heart as long as you live.
That's right.
She is a fertile field for her Lord.
That's right.
Do not contend with her in court.
Right.
Keep her from power. Restrain her. Let me finish. Hold on.
But you reading stuff I don't have an issue with.
I'm almost done. Her eye is her storm when she gazes. Thus you will make her stay in your house. So now, I want you to understand the context of this. It is one. It is like you're taking less than a sentence.
No.
So you have to understand that the context here is make your wife happy. If she is upset, wait, listen. If she is upset, she's going to divorce you. That's what it means. Go to court.
I don't have,
and it
listen, I
says
don't have an
do
issue
every.
with that
Wait,
quote.
listen to me.
They actually
it
got
does
that part right. You don't want to
everything.
go with the black
Listen
woman
to
in
me.
court.
Well, in your tradition, she couldn't go to court because she wasn't even a human at the time, so she could not be in court during the Hebrew time, during the time of your Bible. She could not go to court. In the Kemetic tradition, which is earlier, she could. So what this is saying, let me finish. What this is saying,
I don't want to focus on.
Of course, you don't want to focus on that because it cuts you.
No, it doesn't.
Which what you have to understand.
I don't have an issue with the one with that role that they said.
What they are saying
you
here
said that the maxim of Ptah-hotep, the ancient record, you said Kemet was better and it's not misogynistic.
You have.
You
this
said
is
that
not
Kemet
a misogynistic passage.
To keep her from. If that was in the Bible, if it was in the Bible and it said keep her from power, control her, you'd have added that to your videos that you put up.
Listen,
be
family,
honest.
family.
Just, Jabari, at least
what
you should
is
just
saying,
be honest.
I only know how to be one way.
If that was in the
and
Bible,
so what I'm saying to you is,
Bible, would you have used it against us? Yes or no?
No.
You're lying.
And this is why.
You're lying.
This is why. Let me explain to you.
He's lying.
What you are doing is you are taking the word, the only word in that whole thing you're taking out of context. The word power here, listen, what they are saying, what they are saying,
if you're not being a man in charge,
I am the Kemetic priest. Do you want me to explain to you what it says? You can disagree, but let me explain to you what it says, because you haven't read it. And you're telling me on something that someone said on a video. You should at least read it. Let me explain it to you. And if you disagree with my explanation when you read it, then you can say,
no, we did read.
So listen, this
beginning part, I don't have no issue with.
But you cannot take the one word. The one word. Listen to me.
One word.
Listen to me.
Focusing on one word. It's not one word.
Listen.
It's not one word.
This is what it says. It is saying that you should keep your wife happy. Do everything you can for her.
I don't disagree.
It even says massage her with oils. By the way, that's the part I disagree with, because my wife will tell me that that's what I need to do all the time. So you know what I mean? So that's the part I disagree with.
The Bible says the same exact thing.
But hear what I'm saying to you. The Bible also says you should marry a rapist. But let me say very clearly, we're going to get into it.
Don't worry.
And I want to see both of you run.
You're going to get
cut. But let me say very clearly, let me say very clearly what this says.
You running from the rest of the statement.
Let me say what this says.
From the statement.
Let me say, yeah, I was talking, but he interrupted me. So it's my turn to be one at a time. Don't tell me one at a time. See, so listen. Yeah, but I'm a guest in the house, and so usually when you have a guest,
I'm
trying to say it.
So let's go.
So speak to your man. I'd like to hear what he has to say.
Let's go.
The context of this is keep your wife happy. Do everything for her. But when she gets angry, she may want to go to court and divorce you. It literally says keep her away. Power here should be interpreted as the judge. Keep her away from the judge, because she's going to destroy and make her stay in your house.
No. You skipped the part. It says
keep her from power and restrain her.
Control her.
Well, depends on which translation you're reading.
If you want to say restrain her, that's something you do
because
by
they are
force.
saying this does not say force.
You said restrain. I said
this
control.
Does not say force.
How do you restrain somebody?
You listen. I'm gonna tell you very carefully that this is clearly about a man keeping his wife happy by doing all those things that she likes. And if you don't do those things, she's going to take you to court. That's what it says.
We can move
and I don't know why you would try to make it sound like that's a problem, because at the same time in your tradition, women could not go to court because they were not fully recognized as citizens or humans.
I got you.
So you want to try to cut me on something. If that cuts me, then you're beheading yourself.
What I want y'all to do is y'all go look at my tapes. And when I'm asked a biblical question, I don't have to go at Kemet to answer the biblical question. I don't have to bring up what Kemet does or Kemet doesn't do. I can answer the question straight from the scriptures. What Jabari has done is want to make a correlation to the Bible, because he just don't want to admit that the man had power over the woman in Kemet, which is not a big deal.
Let me wait
because the man is the protector. But we moving on to the next.
But
subject.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. If they look at your videos, they're gonna look at videos of you.
No. When I'm saying video, I'm talking about videos of interactions with like Polite, etc., like that. I spent the whole time with Polite. Every time he asked me a biblical question, I stuck to the question that he answered. I didn't use Egypt as the backdrop. I just answered the question. What you do is run and use the Bible as your scapegoat, which is what Kemet do because they can't answer the Kemetic question.
Let's
so we're gonna
really
go to the
clear.
next question.
I answered the question very
okay,
clearly.
no sweat. We're gonna go to the next question. When it comes to Gab, we have mentioned Gab earlier, right? And we got into, and then earlier you said about the whole, we got to talk about rape because you can rape and got to marry a rapist in the Bible. Did Gab rape his mother?
Who is Geb's mother?
Tefnu.
Geb's mother is Tefnu?
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you read to me?
I'm just asking a simple question.
No.
He did not rape his mother. And he did not get the crown of Ray after he raped his mother.
Not in any of the ancient texts that I have read.
So you read all the ancient texts? Who
could ever read all the ancient texts? I read those things that primarily. So, okay, well, let me answer.
Okay. No, you no, it's fine.
You said Gab raped his mother.
Let me.
However, it seems that his lust did not stop there. The Fakasa
What are you reading?
Stele,
Tell us what you're reading.
I'm telling you. The Fakasa Stele tells of Geb's infatuation with his mother, Tefnu.
Can you tell us who wrote that?
I just said the Fakasa Stele.
But what's the Fakasa Stele?
You have to look it up. I'm giving you the name of the I'm giving you the name of the stele.
What I'm saying to you is that if you're gonna
listen,
but
you
here's
said
the
that
deal.
you haven't read everything, so
there's no way I can read everything.
Absolutely.
But,
so that don't mean that it's not there.
That doesn't mean it's not there.
So,
I agree. But
so
what I am saying is
about,
that if you're bringing something up and you're trying to actually question me on it, I would hope that you had done a little bit more research.
I gave you the name of the
but
stele.
where is it from? It could have been some Greek dudes that wrote that. I have no idea.
No sweat,
you need to tell me more about it so I can answer.
It says in the Fakasa Stele. I'll give you some more information about it. It says that Geb raped his mother, and there was 9 days of darkness and storms followed, and then Geb went and took his father's place as Pharaoh. Now, what I did was, and I'll send you every link that I have, because what I did was what I learned. Here's what I did learn in dealing with Kemet. And this is all honesty. This ain't no bullshit. What I learned in dealing with Kemet is that what I used to think about Kemet wasn't the truth. You understand? Like what I mean by that is there were things that would trying to see what I could use as an example. Like Cleopatra, for example. You know, a lot of people thought she was black. Then I found out that she's not black. She's a white woman.
She was probably mixed race.
Well,
but she was certainly
a Ptolemy.
She was certainly a Ptolemy.
We go right at.
She was certainly a Ptolemy.
There were things that I learned. So what I did when I saw that, I went and looked at a bunch of different sources. And if we exchange information, I'll send you every source that I have. And then, of course, we can always come back and revisit it. Now, the only reason that I went and looked that up was because you on your rant about rape in the Bible. And so that's what made me say, well, if Gab is raping, if the Maximus Ptah-hotep is also talking about raping.
The Maximus Ptah-hotep is talking about raping?
I'm sorry. If the Maximus Ptah-hotep is saying to keep her from power, control her, you use the word restrain her. That's the word you use, right?
That's the translation of Merriam-Webster's
So now
text.
It said restrain her.
Yes.
Either one of them is saying that a man is being dominant and at the same time loving her. Like when you go to Ephesians or when you go to the scriptures, you're supposed to love your wife as you love yourself.
That's right.
But there's a pecking order. The man is the head, the woman is under her, and the woman and the children are under her, and that's just a pecking order. It's just about order. Right. Like everything is supposed to have order.
Right.
So now the next question that goes into it is prostitution.
Wait, and are you not letting me? You going on to another piece
we was
without me responding?
Responding to to the rape thing? Go ahead, respond to the rape
let me
thing.
say
you said you haven't. You said you haven't read it.
But I want to say to you. Well, I want to say to you that when we have these conversations, I really appreciate.
No, I'm not.
Wait, when you have.
I said I was sending you sources.
Wait, listen.
No, I was telling him to not talk.
Listen to me. I'm talking to you right now. when you are having these conversations and you attempt to bring up something that you want me to answer, particularly whether I'm familiar with it or not, you need to do a little bit more research on it so that you can tell me more about it. I've not heard of the stele.
Okay, no sweat.
I don't know what period it's from. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know where it was found. I don't know a lot of stuff about it. So for you to put it out here on this radio program, it makes it sound like you are talking about something that is verified. You're talking about something that makes good sense. But then when I ask you to give me any of the details about it, you can't. So I think that if you're going to bring up something from my tradition, at least be prepared to tell me why it's in my tradition. Just because it says Geb on it,
right,
that doesn't mean that it's from my tradition.
No sweat. I offered you the sources.
Yeah, but you didn't tell me anything about the sources. You just told me a name.
I did. I told you the name of the stele.
And you got to do more research on it.
If I didn't do enough research on it, I wouldn't have used it at all.
Well, but I didn't hear any research. You just brought up, you did some Google research.
That's not Google research. I gave you the name of the stele.
That's Google research.
And I told you I would give it to you, the sources. I have more questions.
Did you read the stele?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
What does the stele say about rape?
I just
read the quote.
I just read it to you.
That wasn't a quote. It was in third person.
No, that was.
Read the quote. This is what I'm talking about. If you're going to do some research and some scholarship, you have to do research and scholarship. It cannot be Google scholarship.
All of that he's doing is filibustering to take away from the fact that Geb raped his mother and was awarded.
Talk to me about where the stele comes from.
And was awarded the crown.
Okay, read it to me.
And you did not
quote from the stele.
And you did not answer. You don't have an answer for the question.
No, what I'm saying to you is that if you're going to use that against me, you have to give me some more information. And you can't just make a supposition without any foundation. That's what you've done.
No, I did not. I told you I looked up various sources that I would send to you.
So what sources did you look at?
There's about 4 of them.
So what are they?
And all you got to do is give me your email. I don't need the distractions.
But what I'm saying to you is when you do that on the radio, the radio
is fine.
No, but you have to have a anyway. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on.
I appreciate it. Now we're going to move to prostitution.
Yes.
In the Egyptian mythology. Now, it's hard. The only thing that I will say, here's the only out that I'll give you. A lot of your Egyptology, that was another question I wanted to ask you. A lot of your Egypt studies are done by the Talmud. You have some that are done by Black, but most of it is done by the Talmud. If you start with the Medu Neter, I believe that the translation was started by the white man, right? Is that history correct? When they found what they call a Rosetta Stone.
You're not incorrect, but I think I would tweak it a little bit. Right?
Okay. Can you tweak it shortly?
Essentially, I'm gonna do it as fast as possible. If I'm going long to do this, I'm gonna stop literally because this is not a big point. But I want you to understand that we lost the ability to speak a certain language. Those texts were written by Africans.
So it became dead after a while.
But I don't want you to make it sound like the Tom who wrote it.
No. I'm not saying that he wrote it.
Okay.
I'm saying like what you're saying, that it became a dead language, because just like any language can become dead.
Sure.
Hebrew became dead for
a
while.
Yeah.
And then it's when
most people don't say that.
No, well, we're honest.
Yeah.
Hebrew was dead for a long. Hebrew was a dead, non-spoken language for a long time. So Medu Neter was one also, and the way they was able to translate it was when they found the Rosetta Stone with the Greek, Hebrew, and Medu Neter, and then
they didn't have Hebrew on it
to line it up.
Nice try.
But anyway,
they try to slip that in there. You thought would you think it's late? I'm gonna just miss that one.
No, I could have misspoken. It's not. That's not.
Was
really
a misspeak. I thought you were trying to get at.
No.
It had.
No, I don't.
Don't beat him up on that. Come on. It has.
Just like you say, you don't really know how to read.
Well, I don't want to get off track because certain scholars say the Medu Neter wasn't translated properly, and that leads to a different.
Those people aren't scholars.
Dr. Ben is one though.
Dr. Ben never said that the Hebrew was never translated. The Medu Neter wasn't translated.
He just misspoke.
Sure, I did. I thought he was teasing me when he misspoke.
Oh no,
he literally misspoke.
I didn't mean to say.
Oh, I thought you was because you had a little smile. You know, if y'all don't know Tazarak, when he's trying to slap you, he put a little smile on his face. I actually like that about him. You know. But
can you speak it? No, I don't. But you talk on it though.
But let me
wait. But you talk about it. King James raped his mother. He was a drunkard and an alcoholic. I got you. That's why you coming up with this story about Gad had sex with his mother. See, but you don't speak the Medu Neter, but you speak on Kemetic history.
Right.
He speaks on Kemetic history.
He said that I can't speak on Medu on Kemet Unless I know the metal.
Sarnetta has put before his camera many people who have studied history.
I'm not.
He
talking
don't
about,
usually.
I'm talking about him specifically.
But he, okay.
Like he talks about it. You're known for talking about it. But anyway, in sources, Egyptian mythology, just like I named the Stella that I got it from. This
in
is from
sources.
This is the source that I'm about to read. I'm giving you where I read this from. Like I gave you the
Okay.
Stella that I read. This
Okay,
from.
go ahead.
When Herodotus was told that Cheops, Khufu, has set his own daughter to work as a prostitute to help pay for his pyramid building. Whoa. So did he set his own daughter as a prostitute?
And every scholar, regardless of their ethnicity today, knows that that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
So why is this scholar saying that?
No, a scholar is saying what Herodotus said. But all this, hear me for a second, because this is easily provable. Anyone that Googles, you could even Google this one and find out this is not true. Herodotus said a lot of things that people told him, and some of it he just got wrong, right?
Now,
and so almost
just from a time frame,
yes,
is this Herodotus the same one that people credit for the King's List as well?
Herodotus doesn't write a King's List. Herodotus brings a King's List to people,
right? And that was used as a timeline for.
It's not his though.
No, but I'm saying it was used though.
The biggest King's List you're talking about is probably Manetho.
Okay, Manetho.
That's who you're thinking.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, Manetho is a native person. His name is probably badly translated. But Herodotus is a Greek man who travels to Kemet, and some of the things he says are just wrong. We know that that's not correct.
No.
And every scholar today, regardless of their ethnicity, knows that's just not true.
No sweat. The next one, incest in Egypt. It's kind of like two questions, but one. No, it'll be separate questions. So I want to do the incest one or the other one. You want to say something? Incest in Egypt. They have come up with scientific evidence. They've come up with stories. Is incest something that took place in Egypt?
There are many times in actual royal families where what is attempting. Let me take a step back. I'm gonna try to do this quickly, but it's hard. That's a hard question to answer quickly. The rulership in Kemet is matrilineal, right? So in order to become king, you're supposed to marry the right woman. There are times that primarily half brothers and half sisters were married in order for the half brother to become the king.
When you say
it is extremely rare, maybe I can think of one or two instances where full brothers and sisters were married. It's not believed that King Tut married his full sister.
So now, is that lawful or unlawful?
It was lawful for you to marry a half sister because the bloodline is matrilineal. So that particular woman had the sacred blood, and so to become king, you had to marry her.
So it is. So my question was, it's lawful to.
That was not unlawful.
It was not.
No.
So you can do that today.
Well, when I maybe I'll consider that when I have a navy and an army. No, we don't have Kemetic kings today. I'm a Kemetic priest. I'm not a king.
No. Here's what I'm saying. When I'm saying, is it lawful? Is it lawful for incest? You said it was not unlawful.
It happened in royal families, right? The average brother and sister today.
I'm not talking about today.
Cannot. You just said can you do it today? You said, can you do it today? Wait, you just said, can you do it today, right?
Well, I said, was it lawful?
Wait.
My first part, which I thought you was answering, that's why I interjected. My first part was, is it lawful? And so I thought you was answering that. Now
I said it was lawful.
It's not lawful anymore?
The honest reality is that we do not have a royal lineage anymore. So no, it wouldn't be.
So are you saying, so it's not lawful, but
no.
it was lawful to sleep with your sister or brother, half full, whatever, but now it's not lawful.
Right.
Why?
I just answered the question.
Because of kingship?
There is no royal matrilineal lineage. I think what we have to do is we have to now take the spirit of the tradition rather than the actual practice. So no, that is not something that any Kemetic community in any part of the world that I'm familiar with, and there's several.
You want to know why y'all don't do that today? Because you know it's wrong.
We don't do it today.
You don't do it today because the Bible says don't do it.
Well, the Bible says don't do it.
Leviticus, the 18th chapter, the first verse. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, I am the Lord your God.
Now you brought up the Bible.
After the doings,
so when I say something, don't say I'm just. I have
the
to base it on the
doings
Bible.
of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whether I bring you, shall ye not do. None of you shall approach to any that is the near kin to him to uncover his nakedness, the nakedness of thy father, the nakedness of thy mother, thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, or daughter of thy mother, whether she be born at home or born abroad, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover. You just said incest was lawful in Kemet. So now you say, of course, it's not lawful today. Now, why do I bring that up? And I'll give you the floor. I bring that up because our argument is that if we're going to fix black people, we have to do what our ancient ancestors did. For us as Israel, for you as Kemet. And I don't want to just say Kemet, because you did start off by saying you don't want to make it seem like you're against the other African. Right.
Yeah.
And you always say Africanized.
Right.
Now, if we get into other African cultures, then we got to get into cutting off the daughter's clitoris, which is African culture.
No, it is not an African.
That
culture.
is an African.
It is not an African cultural practice.
That's not African.
It is
practice?
not an African cultural practice.
So they don't.
You're
practice
speaking
so they
to
don't practice
an
that?
African. No, wait a minute. I also, when I go to Ghana, I'm going to see the largest billboards.
It's 40 countries in Africa.
In Nigeria and many countries in Africa. You're going to see the largest image of a Tom Who Jesus with literally blonde hair. You don't even do blonde hair here. This is my point. Hear what I'm saying. Wait. Hear what I'm saying. You're going to agree with me, but you have to let me finish. There have been many things in Africa that have been brought from the outside as our African brothers and sisters on the continent were subjugated during colonialism. There is no ancient reference for clitoraldectomy in ancient Africa. None. It seems to come into Africa during the Arab invasion. That's when we begin to see it happen in the 7th century of the Common Era.
Right.
And I've done a lot of research on it. Yeah, I would never stand by that. But can I go back and talk about the basis of why we got to this?
Incest part? Yeah. No, you can come back to that.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, I want to be clear that you say that incest is something that's you shouldn't speak on in the Bible. But I know that
it's unlawful.
It's unlawful.
Right.
And what happens when you transgress against the law?
You can be punished for that.
How?
Depending on what it is, you can.
So, what would you think the punishment should be for someone who?
I would have to read it, but it could be something where you got to sacrifice for.
Okay.
You can get stoned for.
Okay.
Certain, depending on the level of the crime.
Well, I just want to be clear. If Abraham marries his half sister Sarah, then I think you think that your major patriarch should be stoned.
Abraham didn't marry his half sister, though.
He did not marry Sarah.
Yeah. He married Sarah.
Sarah's not his half sister.
No.
Now, I really hope that you all are listening to this know that there's no way that he could possibly say that. And it goes further than that. Abraham's brother marries his niece.
What was Abraham?
Let's also talk about Lot's daughters. Let me finish. Lot's daughters also, let's be really clear that Lot's daughters intoxicate their father and have sex with him. You know this story probably better than I do.
Perfectly.
So that's why it feels messed up that you want to try to bring this up and then bring up the Bible when you know that incest is all throughout the Bible.
Right.
It is true that it seems that Deuteronomy seems to speak against incest. Deuteronomy.
Well, they probably both do because it's about the law.
That's
it's
right.
about the Torah.
So, but I want to say I want to admit that I have read that in Deuteronomy.
Okay.
Right. But that's not to say that it doesn't happen, and it didn't happen. Because we see all throughout the Bible, we see a brother trick his sister into making soup for him so he can sleep with her. Now, you could tell me that story better than I can tell you the story.
You talk about David, right? But is it lawful?
And then what about
my question?
What about Abraham's son Isaac, who marries Rebecca? How about Jacob marrying Leah and Rachel?
Those are cousins. That's
his
not
sisters
what I asked
and
you.
his cousins.
No.
Jacob and Leah and okay, you're going to show me the lineage. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'll admit
When
it.
you, no sweat. I appreciate it.
He marries more than one person.
He marries
Leah.
He marries Leah
and Rachel.
He marries Rachel.
Okay.
Is it Rachel or Rebecca?
No,
Rachel.
it's Rachel and Leah.
It's
Rachel and Leah. It's not a law against the law to marry your cousin. That's not what I said.
But isn't that incest?
No.
So what do you consider
incest? Is what I read. Your mother, your father, your sister, your brother. That's incest.
Okay.
And I asked you. So when you bring up, like, 1 second, you brought up David and David's son, rather. When David tricked his son, David's son, rather, tricked his sister. And then his sister said, don't rape me because that's never been done in all Israel. That's very important. She said, don't do this thing. It's never been done in all Israel.
Is that what she says?
I planned on bringing it out tonight when I cut you on rape. So yes, I read it.
Okay.
So now.
Okay. I hope you're going to read the quote at least.
Yeah, I'm going to read it.
Okay.
That wasn't something that was allowed to happen. You just admitted that it was okay for incest, for a daughter or a mother or a father or a brother to sleep with each other. That's the difference. Sarah is called Abraham. Excuse me. You know that Sarah is not half because they call her Abraham. I'm gonna read it for you. This is Genesis 11 and 29. When it says that Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarah. The name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, the father of I.S.U.P.K. Terah, that's called her daughter-in-law, which lets you know it was a lawful marriage. So of course there were times when Abraham and Sarah was traveling and he said, tell him that you're my sister, because he didn't want them nasty Africans to take his wife. That's all that was.
That's very interesting.
You brought up Lot.
That's your interpretation.
That's not my interpretation. That's easily broken down. You brought up Lot with the, I don't know why you insist on bringing up Lot. I know why you bring up Lot, because it's like a scapegoat, because Lot's 2 daughters slept with him. Lot's 2 daughters are not from Abraham. That's Abraham's nephew. That's something that they chose to do on their own. And again, that does not make it lawful. What I love about the Bible.
So what was the violation? What happened to them because they did it?
It doesn't say what any violation was done to them.
So can we assume that there was no penalty?
Well, at that time, when it comes to Lot, Lot's not under our care. Like, Lot's not an Israelite. He's not from Abraham. That's not Abraham's son. If you want to tell me something that happened to Isaac, then maybe you could tell me something that happened to Isaac. If you want to tell me that something happened to Jacob, you could tell me something that happened to Jacob. I'll give an example. Jacob's son Reuben slept with his wife, slept with Jacob's wife.
I mentioned Reuben.
Right. What happened to Reuben for that? Did he get any punishment for that?
He's one of the few that does.
But he got punished for that though, right? Okay, then. So when you show laws that are broken in the Bible, you can show a punishment. When David committed adultery, he got punished for that. But you can't show that in yours because you yourself admitted that you can sleep with your brother or your mother.
Can I read Genesis 20:12?
Yeah, I know that's where you're gonna go. Go ahead,
okay, and it says, besides, she is indeed my sister, the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife. So the text actually says that Abraham admits that Sarah is his half sister.
Okay, now what we got to do is you got to start at verse 20. Okay, and what Abraham is saying is why he said what he said.
Okay, so
Abimelech said unto Abraham, what sawest thou that thou hast done this thing? Verse 11, and Abraham says, so now what he's reading in 11 down is what made him say what he said to Abimelech, because he didn't want him to take her. That's why it says, because I thought surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they would slay me for my wife's sake. And yet indeed she is my daughter. So he's telling what thought process he went through when he said what he said. So you ain't going him lying?
No, that make it all right.
I don't understand. Why would he? No, I don't think the logic even follows.
He's telling you why he said what he said.
So what does he say that makes her say, that saves her?
Verse.
Explain to me.
You asking 2 different questions. Are you saying why was she saved from getting taken?
No. I'm saying that.
Or why did he say it? Which one?
Yeah. What does he say that should save her?
What, he didn't say anything.
What do you mean?
Abraham didn't say anything.
You just said that he said this because he was afraid that these people would take her.
Right.
So what did he say that
stopped
prevented
from
them
taking her. When you read up a little bit in the story, it says that Abraham, I'm trying to skip for time's sake. It says, and Abraham journeyed from thenceforward, verse 2. I'm just skipping just to get to your point. And Abraham said, Sarah, his wife, she is my sister, and Abimelech, king of Ger, sent and took Sarah. But the Most High came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, behold, thou art but a dead man, for the woman which thou hast taken, she is a man's wife. That's what saved her. So when you drop down to verse 10 and read down, Abraham is giving you his thought process. What did happen? Even though he said, that's my sister, they still took her. So he thought by telling Sarah to say that that's my sister, that would save her. They still took her, and the Most High intervened and told Abimelech, and then Abimelech did not take her. Right. So when you read 10,
so let me see if I understand what you're saying, because I don't know if I understand what you're saying. Am I interrupting you? Am I interrupting you? If I am, I want you to finish.
But all right, basically, just let me see if this is clarified before you go on.
Go ahead.
Basically, what Cap's trying to say is that he's giving you his, like, he explains his thought process. Verse 12 is the thought process that he had to tell him, and verse 13 is the thought process of the plan he concocted.
No, I understand
to tell
what he's
Sarah
saying
that.
there. I'm trying to get the details of it, because I think that's a convenient explanation.
You know what he
said,
but
I don't
earlier?
think that what you said follows in the text.
If you read into 13, it will.
I just read. And what's interesting is how he said earlier, when I read Control Her, and I only read that portion of Maxim's Patahotep.
I want you to read the whole thing.
He said, no, you told me I had to read it, but you pulled this, but you didn't read it.
Right. What do you mean? You want me to read it? I can.
No, that ain't what I said.
I said that I would give it to you to read it, but you refused, so that's why
I didn't refuse. I just read.
I said I'll give it to you so you can read it. I'm talking about with the Maxim Patahotep.
No. You said that I should read it all before I bring it to you.
I've read this. I've read it.
How you don't know?
Because it's not that I don't know. I disagree with your analysis. And I don't think that your analysis follows by the text.
It does follow.
That's what I'm saying to you.
It's not that I'm not familiar with it. You read it, but when I asked you, when you asked me, how was she saved? So how could you read it and not know that
I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't agree with
basic reading.
No, I don't agree with that.
Then why did you, if you read it, why did you ask me how was she saved?
No, because I wanted you to say it.
Y'all see this?
I wanted you to say it.
Y'all see this?
Listen, you say all the times you want me to say it. I wanted you to say it.
He said, I wanted you to say it?
Yeah.
He did not know how she was saved.
Stop it.
He did not know.
Listen, let's be really clear. I disagree with your analysis.
When you bring that up,
I agree that he says that she's his sister and his wife.
That's not.
He doesn't say he's just his sister and his wife?
He does, but he tells you why. He said why he did it. He said he did it because he said God is not in this place, and they'll take my. This ain't even the only instance. He did it twice. Right. This ain't the only instance that he said, Abraham, this is tell him that you my sister. He said it in another place, tell him you my sister.
And so
that was his theme.
So which one do you think he really is? Do you think she's really his wife or his sister?
She's his wife lawfully. That's what she is.
So now see, you're flipping. I wish you could hear what he is saying.
Lord have mercy.
Based on what you're saying, your argument is very poor. That's why I had you say it.
Because I said that that's his wife?
So you're telling me that they would be less apt to take his sister than his wife.
That's what his thought process
I'm saying that is what you that's what you believe his thought process.
That's what he said.
So you think that she wasn't his sister?
She was not his literal sister. I'm going to read for you. Genesis, the 12th chapter and the 11th verse. And it came to pass when he was come near to enter into Egypt that he said unto Sarai, his wife, behold, now I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass when them Egyptians, them stinking ass Hamites, shall see thee, they shall say, this is his wife, and they shall kill me, but they will save thee alive. I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for my sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. So this is the first time that he used that.
Wait a minute. It does not say, the text does not say that I'm going to say you're my sister, but you are not. It does not say that. That's why I want you to read it. It says, no, wait a minute. Listen, when you get sliced and diced, you have to admit it. Because the text does not say, I am saying this strictly so they do not take you. It does not say
all you
that.
gotta do is
It
keep
says
reading.
what it says is, wait a minute. What it says is, what it says is that I'm going to tell them that you're my sister and my wife. That's what it says.
No,
it does not say you are not my sister.
That you,
so tell me in the text where it says that she is not his sister.
It says, say, I pray thee. He's telling her to say something.
Yeah.
Say, I pray thee, thou art my sister.
Right.
That it may be well for me for thy sake. He's telling her to say,
can I ask you a question?
That's my sister.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Reading comprehension.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Of course, go ahead.
Does it say that he is telling her to say something that is not true?
Yes.
Where?
Right there.
Where? That is not what it says.
It's not true, though.
Brother, you got to take a fourth grade reading class. 19, what it says is tell them that you are my sister. It does not mean that she's not his sister.
Why would he say it?
Because he wants for them to understand all of the relations. It does not say that.
So why isn't it in the lineage?
Why does it say?
You see a lineage of Sarah?
Okay, like
where's the lineage of Sarah?
Here's the point, though. You have the lineage of where Abraham comes from, right?
Where's the lineage of Sarah?
Listen, focus for a minute. I help you out. If it came down to the fact that she came from Terah, it would have been listed. That's
you
the
have
point.
to understand that this lineage is patrilineage.
So now they both.
So that there are
what
many
happened
times
in the
that
scripture
women
you read, it said what? It said that she's the daughter of my father, but not my mother. So you just said if it comes down to a patriarchal lineage, then that means that it would have been listed. That's what I'm trying to explain.
No, because what they're trying to do.
No.
Listen, no biblical scholar would say what you just said. Often in the lineages, you will see. Let me finish the statement, and I promise I'll come here. It's going to be a quick statement. You will often see that women are omitted; their names are not included. Often in the lineages, and I think T.D.JAKES has even admitted that when we sat down.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay,
but what I want to say is in Genesis 20:12, it says, "Yet indeed she is my sister; she is the daughter of my father." That's what it says there, right? And
but not the daughter of my mother.
But I told you what that means, right?
Right.
In Genesis 11.
And it says, but not the daughter of my mother.
And I told you that the reason why she said that was because, hold on, I'm just getting the verse here.
Okay.
The reason why Abraham said that was he was running down why he was saying this is my sister, so that they wouldn't take him.
That is an analysis that is not followed necessarily. Now, listen, let me say this to you. It's possible that that's what's happening, but the text does not prove that to be true.
In Genesis, remember in Genesis 20:12, Abraham, when he's telling her that story, he says to her, he says to the king that this is the daughter of my father. We know that Terah is Abraham's father. We do know that. When it talks about Terah's relationship to Sarah, it says that that's his daughter-in-law. If that was Genesis 11:31, and Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran his son's son, and Sarai, his daughter-in-law. It doesn't say his daughter. So in Genesis 20:12, when he's saying, this is indeed my sister, the daughter of my father, but not my mother, he's telling her, he's giving a rundown of his thought process. And Genesis 11, when it's running, now all of this is Nahor's and Terah's and all of their lineage. So when it says daughter-in-law, if that was his actual daughter, it wouldn't say daughter-in-law. The reason why it's saying daughter-in-law, because they were lawfully married.
Can I ask you a question? What is the Hebrew term for daughter-in-law?
I would have to look it up.
You have to. And I want to come back on you. Wait, hold on. Let me say something to you.
Here's what I know about
before
law.
I put it. Let me say something because I let you finish. Before I put something in here, I wish you understood the amount of research that I do.
Not enough.
And so I want you to hear.
On the Bible, you do none.
I want you to hear that when you say something, sometimes I'm asking you to say it so that when we come back, you have to admit that what you said is does not follow.
Now,
that's all I'm going to say.
I got you.
And then we can move on.
You see how it say daughter-in-law, right? What I read in Genesis 11:31, when it says Terah was daughter-in-law. The Hebrew for that is kala, a bride, hence a son's wife, bride, daughter-in-law, spouse. The key word What did I read earlier, y'all?
But you have no. That's not what I'm asking you to do.
You asking me what is the
No, I
daughter-in-law?
want you to read what the actual text says. I'm not asking you. I don't want you to. No. Wait. You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. Let me just be clear about what I'm saying. I don't want you to give me the word. I want you to read the text in the Hebrew so you can understand what it's being said. I want you to read that quote.
Okay, I'll read that quote in Hebrew, but I gave you the Hebrew word.
Okay.
I gave you the strong Hebrew's word.
Go ahead.
But I'm going to read it in English. I should have just read the rest of this so you can understand.
Okay.
And Terah took Abram, his son, and Lot, the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai, his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife. The key thing about this is when you look up the word law, that's why when I read Leviticus, the 18th chapter, that law was in effect back then. That's why when it says daughter-in-law, you know it's not Terah's son. Excuse me, Terah's physical daughter, because we don't agree with incest. Only Kemet agrees with incest. That's why Genesis 12, Abraham said they'll take my wife. Right. So now what I want to deal with after that.
So before you move, what about Lot's daughters?
What about Lot's? Like, okay, you bring up Lot's daughters. Lot's daughters is not our lineage. They weren't given our law. It's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Lot had a different father, different mother, different lineage than from Abraham. That's why when I said earlier, I think in the chat when y'all was doing the you and my aunt was doing the thing, and I said Lot is not a major figure. The story is major, but Lot himself is not a major figure.
How in the world that you could say Lot is not a major figure?
Let me explain what I mean. You're focusing on Lot and what his daughters did. That has nothing to do with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's what I mean when I say so. What does that have to do?
So explain to me, because they are they not Jewish women?
Say that one more time.
Are they not Jewish women?
No.
Hebrew women.
No.
Okay.
So who are they?
Okay. They would be considered Hebrew.
Okay. I don't. When I say Jewish, now let me apologize, because to me, I use those words interchangeably.
I understand that, but let me clear something up because a lot of people don't understand.
Sure.
You understand? Like, for example, the covenants don't go to Hebrews. You understand? They go to Hebrew Israelites. Right. It's the Israelite lineage according to the, once again, I have to say this over and over, as far as biblical narrative, you understand, is concerned. So now, meaning that there's 5 Hebrew families on the planet. You understand? You can say the Arabs are Hebrews. You can say that who we would consider the Chinese or the Japanese are Hebrews, which would be the offspring of Lot. You understand? So when it comes down to those Hebrews, that doesn't concern anything because the law was given to Israel. It wasn't given to Hebrews.
Thank you. Let me try to understand then. So you're saying that the laws, your laws,
right,
are not actually in effect for Lot and his daughters. Is that what you're saying?
No, it wouldn't be in effect for Lot and his daughters.
Why not?
They don't come from us.
Well, where do they come from? Explain a little bit more.
I didn't mean to say come from us. I'm sorry. Lot doesn't fall under us. Our lineage is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right. Psalms 147, 19-20 say, showeth his statutes unto Jacob. I'm paraphrasing, unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any other nation. Right. So the nations that came from Lot, which became the Moabites and the Ammonites, that has nothing to do with Israel. So what Lot's daughters did, which they got him drunk, by the way. Lot
sure. Yeah, no, I said that. I said Lot that in the quote.
Lot did not willingly do that, which would make it unmisogynistic. Lot got drunk. And they
I'm not saying we're not talking about misogyny right now. We're talking about incest.
No, I don't disagree with the
incest. Yeah. We're talking about incest here.
I don't disagree with
not misogyny.
Right. I don't disagree with the incest either, but they got him drunk to do it. He would have done it sober.
No, I did. I said that. When I read the quote, I read that.
But the reason why, number one, so Lot wouldn't be punished for that because he was drunk when it happened.
So don't you think, so are you saying that God's providence only comes to those 5 families?
No, God's providence or covenants come through Israel. Right. And then from the way it's supposed to be, Israel is the top and trickles down and everybody else is under us. Right.
But what I'm trying to understand is why would angels go to protect Lot?
Angels wasn't going necessarily to protect Lot. That was only at Abraham's behest because he knew his nephew was there. They was going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, which is what they did.
What happens when they enter his home?
He protects them. And like anybody should protect. If you bring somebody into your house under your guise, you should protect them. That's why they were allowed to escape. If Lot and them wouldn't have protected the angels, they would have died too.
And so, well, they wouldn't have died because they then dispense with the mob. They dispense with the mob. They were men.
Yeah.
What happens in the story? What happens in the story? And this is for everybody. I know most of your audience probably is familiar with this, but there are people.
My audience
there are people in your audience that are not in your tradition.
In Genesis 12:19, the Pharaoh himself says, "What sayest thou? She is my sister, so I might have taken her to meet a wife." Just so you know, but you can go ahead with your Lot story.
Well, I mean, that story is written.
Now you want to say
that story? No. Hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying. Let me finish.
No, we're gonna
wait. Let me say something very clearly. This story does not describe the Kemetic tradition at all.
What story?
Nothing in the Bible describes the Kemetic tradition.
Not. Fuck them.
So you need to understand. So you need to understand that you say now they're going to clap because you know.
You said it don't describe Kemet. I'm glad it
what
don't
I'm
describe
saying to
Kemet.
you is you said that you talk about nasty Egyptians, all kinds of stuff in your book. You know, and
raping, though.
and
What's
essentially,
worse?
and essentially,
you say we raping
and
women.
essentially, no, wait. I'm not saying because I'm offended.
Oh, okay, no sweat.
That's not. Let me finish. But I just want to be very clear that the story that you're reading is a mythological story that is not written in the time that you have placed it. And it does not describe the Kemetic people.
Okay, I got you.
This is the people. If these are your people, they have continually written themselves into more powerful nations' histories. And let's talk about, well, we know these are men. Angels can only be men in this tradition. There are no female angels.
You said mythological.
No.
You said something.
There are no female angels.
You said something. Wait, just hold that.
The answer is no. I don't know why he's dithering here. The answer is no.
You cannot see.
There are no female angels.
There is no record of a female angel in the scriptures. So,
you didn't know that?
But let me get back to you. You said that the stories is mythological, right? That brings me back to one of the questions. Then we can get right back to the Bible.
But before you go into something else, we didn't finish talking about Lot.
No, just I don't want to forget.
You go into another topic though.
What are we going to talk about with Lot? What more are we going to talk about?
Yeah, that's because you said what you want to say. I didn't get to respond. Okay. What I want to say to you is it's very clear that Lot, I don't know why you say Lot is a minor figure, because I mean the amount of ink that's spent on him is considerable.
It's only one chapter.
And I want one chapter in what you would consider the holiest book. That's a lot. That's a lot. There are really minor characters that just mentioned once or twice. This talks about his family. It talks about all of that. Mm-hmm. It talks extensively about him. It talks about the two men who happen to be angels that come into his home, mm-hmm. and he provides them shelter. Right. And in order to, there's a raping mob. By the way, there are a lot of raping mobs of men in the Bible. And so the raping mob comes to the door and says, we want to take those men that we raped them. Mm-hmm. And he says, I'll offer you my virgin daughters. Right. That's what he says. So you better be clear. Right. They don't take the virgin daughters. The angels dispense with them. But what I'm saying to you is that whenever you say the name Lot, there's a lot of problems.
But those was Africans that was trying to sleep with them.
How? Where is this occurring? These are Africans.
Yeah, those are African. It wasn't Israelites.
These are Africans. Sure, Sodom and Gomorrah is in Africa now. You better believe something very clearly. Listen, Sodom and Gomorrah never existed.
It wasn't.
This is a mythological story.
That's your escape.
There is no Sodom and Gomorrah. Right, and the reason why he wants to argue that is because, once again, Captain T.D.JAKES is overly literal. It's the reason why I.S.U.P.K had to change their name when their greatest prophecy in 2000 didn't come true, because they're overly literal. By the way, you never dealt with that, and I don't think you will.
And I'm going to tell you why. I don't have an issue dealing with that. But that's the filibuster that I was talking about.
How's that filibustering?
Because what we're talking about, we could talk about the 2000 prophecy at the end of this or on a different day. I don't want to get distracted. I know when people try to throw distractions.
What you're doing is, now listen, it may seem like
talking about a lot.
Can I say this? It may seem like a distraction because you have some questions. I don't even know what questions you have. So maybe it's a distraction from the questions you have. But I don't know that.
I said the same thing to you earlier. And you said, okay. And then now you bring it up.
Yeah, but it's like an hour later. It's after 12 o'clock. It's an hour later, and we still haven't dealt with it.
Said about Lot. And just so you know, as far as why, okay, regardless of how you feel about our text, you understand me? It's been proven. Even you said that your whole record is mythos, or whatever the case may be.
I said my whole record
not
is
the
mythos.
whole record, but as far as all the gods and all that, whatever. All right,
It's
so
not
now,
literal.
right?
It's not literal.
All right, so back to my topic now. You understand? The scripture says what was written aforetime was written for our learning. Right. So you understand? So now, when you have the record of Lot, one, the reason why it's bringing it is because Lot fathered 2 nations. So the Bible gives the history of the planet. You understand? It tells where every single race came. The
Bible gives the history of the planet.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm trying to help you, which is why we can find out where the Arabs came from, where the Chinese and the Japanese came from, where the Africans came from, where the Caucasians came from.
Let me say
Hold
to
on, I'm
you.
not done yet. So on and so forth. So now, when you continue to take a look at that story, you also start to see that Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. You understand? Which is why even in the New Testament, when it makes reference to it, it was for an ensample, so that nobody would know whether, like you said, oh, there was that murderous raping, what do you call it? A mob. You understand? Now, when you read even in the New Testament, it says that it was for an ensample, that nobody should live that ungodly. You understand? And to continue on from there, it says that that's why it was turned into ash, so that it would be an ensample, so we would know we should not rape. We should not live in that condition. And if we were to be righteous, we would be sighing and crying in there, meaning, you understand, being vexed in the spirit like Lot was while he was living there. And just to add on one more point, it was because it also shows that the Most High is merciful, that he heard Abraham and even saved his nephew when the whole city should have been destroyed. So that's the entire message of that chapter. So you want to know why there's so much? Because there's so much you can get from it.
And there is a lot you can get from
that's
it.
A hell of a
and I think that it's really good let me respond. Now you're going to tag team. I mean, what's going on?
I don't want to waste this.
Yeah, there is something to respond to. There's a lot to respond to. He's agreeing that there's a lot on Lot. Lot is not a minor character in the Bible. And if you look at his life, you mentioned Sodom and Gomorrah, all of it, you're going to see many things that are disturbing that occur there. And so now you want to describe him as a minor character. He is not a minor character. And let's go further. Let's go further. He also said, let me finish. And if you think the moral of the story is not to be homosexual, maybe it is. I'm not going to even argue that. Right? Maybe it is. That's not my point. Right?
What are they
my
called?
point is, I'm not even arguing sodomy. I'm not arguing that. But my point is that we have to be very clear that even rape is in your text. Even rape.
And it's punishable.
And I know
by death.
You would like to. It's punishable by death when you're raping another man's wife, because now you're taking someone's
period.
No,
absolutely.
If she is betrothed, it is punishable by death.
Okay, no sweat.
If she is not betrothed,
it's not
you pay for her, and she becomes your wife.
We're gonna deal with that in 5 minutes. I think I ask you one question.
Go ahead.
You say that the ancient stories were mythological.
I didn't say the ancient stories.
Much
of the Bible.
No, I'm not talking about Bible. I'm not even talking about. I want to talk about Kemet. That's why I'm saying ancient. I'm only talking about Kemet in this regard. So, like when we talk about Geb and Horus and all that, they were not. It was not literal.
No,
right?
They were not. I don't believe that there's a dude walking around with a bird head. No.
Okay,
I don't.
But what we do know is that statues are erected to them. What we do know is that there were ritual sacrifices done to them. We do know that, right?
Yes.
So can you show me in an ancient text where they did not take it, where they took it mythological and not literal?
I really wish that I knew you were going to ask that question.
What I mean by, and just so I could finish. Okay. Just so I could finish.
Okay.
What I mean by that is when somebody tells me something is mythological, and I'm already knowing it's not real. No. So although I'm gonna hear, right, I got you. So although I'm gonna hear stories about it, I know it's garbage.
No, that's wrong. That's very wrong.
So when you say
that's very wrong, and that's the reason why you were overly literal, because when you hear something is mythological, you hear that it's garbage.
But no. What I'm saying is, no, I'm not saying. Well,
you just said that.
I am saying
you just said that.
But what I'm saying about that is, you say that the ancient Kemet stories are mythological; they're not real.
Well,
but you can find,
let me make a distinction. Let me make a distinction. Sometimes I talk to you about history, right? You're not going to find Hatshepsut in some of the spiritual text, right? So sometimes I talk to you about history. No, she wasn't in the spiritual text. She's a literal person. And then there are, you're not going to find King Tutankhamen or King Tut, as you like to call him, in the spiritual text.
No, but I'm not. That's
because
not
he's a literal person. So sometimes I talk to you about history, and sometimes I talk to you about the great spiritual
stories.
What
I'm talking about is, let's take Anubis, for example. Anpu. I'll do that. Right? Let's take Anpu. There are a straight up belief in that.
What do you mean straight up belief?
They have tombs erected. They have mummified dogs that were sacrificed.
What does that mean, tombs erected? What do you mean?
Tombs, pyramids. I call them tombs. Pyramids.
There's a pyramid to Anpu?
In the pyramid, there's statues.
There's no pyramid. There's no
million mummified. They found 1 million mummified dogs. Now, they might have exaggerated the number, but they found 1 million mummified dogs that were dedicated to Anpu.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
So you're saying that it's mythological, but it seems like it was worship.
You know what the challenge is? You know what the look, are you finished?
No.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
You're saying that it's mythological, but that's worship. The pharaohs, not all of them, but the pharaohs, if they were dying, they would kill their servants. Now, not all of them, but they would kill their servants.
You're adding something new that I got to respond to before you deal with the first
but
one.
This is, if you would have interrupted me, this is all the same. Of what
it's not, because it's like now it's like 3 things I got to respond to.
No.
Wow.
No,
you layer
it. See, you look at it like layers.
It is layers.
I cannot present a valid argument of why I'm saying that they took it literal without showing you the things that they did that said it was literal, that shows that it was literal. That's my point.
Well, let me.
But and because you keep interrupting me is why you think it's a point to point to point. Like I'm changing. If you'd have just let me talk, I would have said the reason how you know they took it in the literal sense is because you had some pharaohs that would kill their servants. You had statues that was erected to them. They believed in the afterlife. They believed that they would meet Anpu, meet him, weigh it out. They believed in that, unless you're going to show me on some ancient walls or in Medu Neter where they did not believe in that. And if they did not believe in that, then they're no different than white people that created Santa Claus, got you celebrating Christmas.
Can I show you a picture? Can I show you a picture?
Yes.
Now, see, when you do that, I don't mean to be disrespectful.
I'm asking a question.
But let me just say this really quickly, because I don't want you to think I'm trying to disrespect you. I'm not. Sometimes when you do that, you layer like 4 or 5 thoughts that are incorrect. And because I am, as far as I know, someone that you would consider someone who has studied and practiced ancient Kemetic spirituality, and I know that it's not just a conversation between 3 brothers in front of the TV set watching a ball game, it is incumbent upon me to try to deal with each of them. And when you do that, then you say I'm filibustering. But the reality is you've layered 4 or 5 things on top of that I need to address. So it becomes difficult. So let me say, I just want to explain to you why. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's hard. Now, let me say something to you. An idea is so much more powerful than an actual item. If you don't think that an idea is important, sorry?
I said Santa Claus is okay.
Well, Santa Claus is from your tradition, not mine.
Because the idea is important.
So I want to be really clear that when you look at those little Chinese people that stood in front of tanks and said they were fighting for democracy, they didn't think there was a dude named democracy. Throwing a rock at a tank. You know how many people died? An idea is sometimes more powerful than an actual person. And so because this is why I say you're overly literal. Because you said if they knew it was myth, they would know it wasn't real. No, but myth is more real than a person. Because a person lives and dies. They end. They have their end. But myth actually occurs continually. So that myth is more important than history. And so just because you see mummified dogs, that doesn't mean that they thought that Anpu was a literal person. Let me show you a picture, and maybe this will explain it to you. Because I think you would admit that I am the practitioner. I'm the expert in ancient Kemet here. So let me at least explain it. I'm not the expert in Kemet?
I was talking to Sinetta. He said you take it literally.
Let me show you really quickly. Okay. Now you've seen this image before, but perhaps no one has ever explained it to you.
Next week on your own.
Maybe perhaps no one has explained it to you. We're gonna have to do another one of these.
You know, I had invited you on my show a while ago.
We're gonna have to do another one of these.
No,
you've seen this before,
because
right?
I actually like the dialogue.
You've seen this before, right? You've seen this before. This image here,
Yeah.
right? Usually they call it the judgment scene,
Okay.
right? Now, one of the things that I want you to understand is that this is not literal. And this is one of the ways that we know that it's not literal. As you look at this image, you're going to see someone who enters and is asking to enter. Listen, you got to listen.
All right. I'll listen.
Guys, that's disrespectful. I'm answering your question. And then you're going to say, well, you didn't answer the question. But you have to
This is going to take a
listen.
while. I'm going to get a snack. Go ahead.
Yeah, I need a snack. Too. I'm not even hating on you for getting the snack. So look, so if you look at this, you see him enter and he's trying to enter into heaven, right? Right?
Yeah.
Now, the people that are here, the Neteru, some of them say Neteru, not Heru.
Neteru.
Yeah. Necheru or
Necher.
Nechers, right? The divine forces.
Okay.
Some of them say that he should go into heaven, and some of them say he shouldn't go in heaven. It's tied. So then he has to have his heart weighed. And when his heart is weighed, it actually is, he is vindicated. He becomes what we call makeru, true voice. And so then when he comes here, if you can read the glyphs, guess what they call him? He becomes a Sar. So that is why we know that a Sar is not a literal person if all of us can be a Sar. So we're talking about a spiritual concept of one who is Makeru, true voice, one that is justified, who is righteous, who has balanced the scales. So that this is just a simple way to show you that this is not a literal story.
But they literally mummified dogs.
Absolutely they did. Because sometimes a concept is more. Listen, there are statues of the Lady of Justice right in this city. And you see a lady with a blindfold. By the way, we didn't put it with a blindfold. That's what the Tamhu did. And she's holding, it is Ma'at. It's a Tamhu version of Ma'at. Yeah, and she's holding the scales. Do you think that the Tamhu judge in the back says, I don't know how to decide this. Can you get the lady to come in and explain it? And the lady with scales comes? The reason why is because it's a principle. But they make statues to her. There's statues to her everywhere.
There's a principle called Santa Claus. And
Santa Claus is not is a principle.
Let me finish. I let you go that time because as I'm looking to listen to him, anybody listening to that know he did not answer my damn question.
I don't know why you didn't hear it.
My question was, they believed that they would go to Anpu in the afterlife. They erected statues. These mummified dogs, that was something they believed in. Literally.
No.
If you don't, let me tell you something. You brought up that statue. They believe in that democracy. They believe in democracy. That's why they believe in that statue. They believe in Anubis.
Literally.
They believe in Anpu. They believe that that's why they mummify. You don't put that much dedication into something that you don't believe.
Well,
period.
Listen.
Now, but you said,
okay, go ahead.
But you said that you can. So you're not. I asked, and if I don't know if you're aware, but I asked you this question in the summer.
You did.
I asked you the same question.
You did,
and you literally gave me the same answer.
Yeah, it's like I don't think you heard what I said
because you want to make it seem like they did not believe in that.
No, that is not what I said. You're not listening
from their records.
You are not listening to me. You're not listening to me. Because when you, at the very least, you should be able to.
Even their rituals of the pharaohs and the incest was because they believed that they were God on the earth, and that's why they were.
No
sweat.
Tell
you what.
I think you've misunderstood that.
No, I didn't misunderstand it.
I think you have.
I'm gonna tell you where the only confusion comes. You, Jabari, right?
Mm-hmm. That's who I am.
No. I know you, Jabari.
That's what you say. You, Jabari, right?
You, Jabari.
I'm sorry, I'm Fred. Let me. You know what I'm saying?
No, like you, Jabari. You, Reggie. You, Shaka.
Is that Reggie?
No. I'm trying to give you a picture. You heard me say when I said this is where the confusion comes in.
Oh, you're talking about Reggie Mabry.
Yeah, Marbury.
Oh, okay,
right,
gotcha.
That's what I mean. I'm naming different people.
Okay.
So
I thought that brother was Reggie. I was like, that brother Reggie. What?
You take Jabari. You take Reggie, you take Shaka, you take Seti, you take Young Pharaoh, you take Amin Ra Squad. You take just listen to what I'm saying. Let's listen to what
But you gotta hear.
At one point he did. At one point, I don't know what he does now.
This is the problem.
But it's
not his fault. This is not his fault.
And it's interesting when I deal with you. Now, all of y'all, and this is something y'all like to say about the Israelites.
What?
Y'all like to say about the Israelites is we all say different things.
Well, I don't say
but
that.
What I find is that every Kemetic brother I go to, I shouldn't even say go to, but dialogue, you're probably the first one that I actually invited for a sit down.
Right.
That's all honesty. I never invited Polite for a sit down. I never invited Seti. I've never invited nobody. So you would be the first brother that I've ever actually invited. That's big, especially coming from
I appreciate that. I'm honored.
But all of y'all say different things. So like the way you're answering is not the way Reggie would answer. And I know this because you and Reggie was in front of me in the summer, and both of y'all was giving different answers. And even Sinetta told me that y'all was saying two different things. So when you saying that you don't agree or what I'm saying is wrong, and then we go with all this plethora of historical history on Egypt and Kemet, and you got to sort through and sift through this one and that one, etc., like that. One of the common themes is that they do have the statues. They do have the rituals. You yourself said incest was a law.
I didn't say it was
not a law. I'm sorry.
It wasn't.
You did say
it wasn't against
you said
the law.
it was lawful
in that instance
to do. In any instance.
No, it wasn't any instance. That's what I was trying to explain to you. This is only
whatever the kings did. What the kings would be like the ones that would set the standard.
But there were some things that people could not do.
You would have to prove that. Now, if we prove incest existed in Egypt, then you would have to say it was.
I'm agreeing with you that incest, according to the modern definition, I didn't disagree with you.
But it was lawful.
Well, I want you to understand something. It was
and not
practiced,
just with the
it
kings.
was practiced in one instance. I have not found. No. I mean, no. Please don't misunderstand what I just said. I don't mean one instance in like one person. Frame? No, that's not what I'm saying either. I'm saying in one situation. Let me put it that way.
In
and that situation is that situation is the cultivation of the royal bloodline. The average people did not do this, and I challenge you to find average people.
Well, like as I said, maybe it'd be good to come back and deal with that. But no sweat. I want to go over.
Both me and Tazari gonna beat that up. No,
I want to go into.
We might have to take a count.
Deuteronomy 22. Right? Now, Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter. Grab that for me, please. Yesterday, Jabari said that I don't have. Excuse me. He said if I wanted to play the clip, but it's getting late. Jabari said for me to say, my response when Jabari was doing his things was I said the word rape is nowhere in that scripture, which it's not. It's being implied by Jabari. And what is being implied is in verse 28 when it says, if a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her and lie with her, and they be found, I'm going to read 29, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her, he may not put away all his days. Right? So now my response was, the word rape is not in that verse, neither is it implied. Jabari's stance is that it is implied because it says lay hold on her, right? Jabari?
You want me to answer?
Yeah, you're saying
I don't think it's implied simply because it says lay hold on her.
Okay.
I think it's implied because of the context of the preceding passage, which deals with, because so essentially the way that it works is one of them deals with women who are betrothed and one of them deals with women who are not betrothed.
And so because the first one shows force, the second one has to show force. Is that safe to say?
I think that we're both talking about women being taken without their permission.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So
yes,
because
I think
the first one shows force, the second one shows force, right?
I think that's what they're talking about here.
Okay. Is there any time in the Bible where rape occurred that was lawful?
I think there are several times that it occurs, but you've already explained some of them away. I don't agree with your explanations.
My question again.
I mean, listen, no, I talked to you about Lot and his daughters. I mean, I don't know if that's not rape to you.
Okay, that's rape of a man.
Sounds like rape to me.
That would be drunken rape of a man. That's
Yeah,
not my question. That is not my question.
Well, so that's why I'm saying to you, you're not going to agree.
Has there been any rape of a woman in the Bible that is lawful?
Yes.
Which one?
The same one in the passage that you're describing. I don't know why you're
so you're saying only
this is the law.
Wait, I'm just we read Deuteronomy 22 and 28 and we gave the premise. Your premise is, well, because the verse above talks about a woman being forced, this one is also talking about a woman being forced. The only difference is the first woman is a married woman. This
betrothed.
woman is a
or
single
engaged.
woman.
I think
right.
Betrothed could be engaged too.
Betrothed, right?
Yeah.
So that's your premise,
right?
My premise is that
that's not just my premise. You know that there are a lot of people who. I mean, there are a lot of.
There's a lot of people that don't know the Bible. That's why they're not in here.
Okay, that's fair.
Yourself.
Okay, that's fair.
So now, my question to you first.
Yep.
Is there any rape of a woman in the Bible that was lawful? What I mean by lawful, meaning there was a punishment or some type of act or war that came after that. Is there any act of rape in the Bible that was allowed to happen?
Brother, I mean, this is the law. Deuteronomy is the law.
An event. An event that took place.
Like an event that took place where they raped a woman and it was allowed to just go scot-free.
There were a number of times that women have been taken against their will. And this is what I don't want to do. This is what I don't want to do. Mm-hmm. What I don't want to do is I don't want to go through each instance.
I just want one.
No, but here's the deal, because you're going to disagree with me, and I know you are.
All I need is one instance.
What I want us to do is simply what I simply. No, there are some. Listen, I want to be really clear. There's some disagreement. Well, let me say something. Let me say something. There's some disagreement here. There is.
Okay, let me ask you a different question.
Go ahead.
Is there a precept to this verse that shows you that this is not talking about rape? You know the Bible. Well, I don't think you know the Bible.
I'm not even going to try to say I know it as well as you do.
No sweat. You know the Bible says precept upon precept, though, right? So when you see one verse, one location, you can find a verse in another location.
Let me be really clear. I'm going to see if I can find some of the passages that I put in.
Okay, but I'm asking you a question.
Go ahead.
Is there a precept in the Bible that can explain what this verse is talking about? Like, is there another point in the Bible that can tell that goes right along with this verse?
I don't know.
That's fair.
I don't know if I would say that.
For my listening audience,
right?
Deuteronomy 22 and 28. Before I go to that verse, I'm gonna go to another verse. We are the scholars here. That's right. Deuteronomy 22 and 28 says, if a man find a damsel that is a virgin which is not betrothed,
and read the one before first and then go right in.
The one with the forced one?
The one that's yes.
Okay.
Because I think when you read them together,
I got you. Deuteronomy 22 and 25.
So he's gonna read them both so you'll understand.
But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in that damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter. Right. So of course she's totally clear and innocent.
Okay.
She has a husband. It wasn't supposed to happen. Right. For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. Verse 28. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, that is not betrothed, and lay hold on her and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her, and he may not put her away all his days. So now I read every verse. You would agree, right?
Yes.
When you read
all the pertinent ones, yeah.
Right. Well, I think we're getting straight to the point.
Yeah.
When we look at the
can I talk to you about what I read there, and then you can disagree or agree?
Go ahead.
I think that we should understand that, and I know that you asked this question, and I'm glad you did that in the chat room, because I got upset, right?
Yeah, you did.
And I didn't want to get upset here. I didn't want to get upset here. I got upset because really what this passage is saying is that women are property, And so if you transgress against someone's property, there is a really serious violation. But when you come to a woman who is not betrothed, she is really no one's property but her father. So that in this instance, what you do when you transgress against her, when you rape her, is you pay her husband, her father, for her, and then she becomes your wife. Now, I think that the Bible in this instance was trying to say something that they viewed progressively. Because what they were trying to say is, if you rape a woman that is not married or engaged, and you can't just walk away and have no responsibility to her. You have to take responsibility to her. That is what I think they were trying to say. But I think it's very clear, it should be clear, that these are both situations where a woman does not have an agreement here in the relationship. And I think that there's really some retrograde beliefs here. First of all, if you didn't cry, maybe you didn't get raped. That's there.
Okay.
And then second of all, the concept of woman as property is there. And then there's also the concept that if you're not the property of a man, then you have to pay, and that woman has to be married to her rapist. Those are really concerning things.
When Levi and Simeon, what did they do when their sister was taken by force that was not betrothed? When their sister, who was not betrothed to anybody, was taken by a man by force, what did Levi and Simeon do?
They went to battle.
So
I want to be
if it was
clear.
nothing- no,
but
no.
but
wait, I
but
just
here's
want to
the
walk
deal.
it, because remember the question that I asked you was, show me an instance of a woman being raped and it being allowed.
But let me say,
you can't.
me say to you, and I'll come back and I'll show you a few.
You
right?
can't,
because there are some.
You can't. No, I'm
But
not saying that
there
there
are
ain't
some,
a
and
case
nothing-
of a woman being
well,
forced.
there are some.
I said, show
but-
me where it was after she was forced that it was allowed to go down with no punishment.
You're going
Levi
to say
and
to
Simeon
me,
killed
you're
a whole
going to
tribe
say
of
to me,
men
you're-
over them
you're
taking
going to-
their sister by force.
You are going to say to me that in those instances, this is the reason why I want to take some time and look at it. Because what you're going to say to me, let me answer, and maybe you'll agree or not agree. What you're going to say to me is that those people are not the Hebrew Israelites. That's what you're going to say to me. And so I want to be able to, did you hear what I said?
No, I didn't hear the last part. Not the very last couple of words. That's all. I heard the beginning of it.
How you gonna be in a huddle when you're on the field? Come on now, listen.
That's a good distraction.
What you're going to say is that those people that I bring up are not the people who are the Hebrew Israelites. That's what you're going to say to me.
Who? Like
so,
you brought up,
so what I want to do,
but that's not my question.
So let me do this. So let me do this.
Let me just show you.
Okay, go ahead. So that's why I want to take some time and give it a real answer, and not because I'm running, not because I don't agree. I want to make sure that it's someone that is actually in the lineage that you care about here. That's what I want to do.
He's saying that's why they would have went and destroyed them before thinking twice. Because if it was one of our own, then they would have been able to marry. But because it was a heathen, we went and murked them.
Well, that's not all that I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I want to find an example.
If he showed me the story of Lot and the sister, his daughters, I'm gonna say, well, they wasn't Israelites, so it don't matter. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that is less important, or in that effect. Because I know that when I talk to all of you about the story of, for example, oh my goodness, but the guy with his sexual slave, his concubine, who kills her.
I don't.
You say, well, she's not part of the story.
I never
said
that. I never.
People often say that.
No, we never
talked about that.
Okay, so maybe we should.
That was going to be something that I.
Maybe we should. Maybe we should.
That was something I was going to bring up too. But let me finish.
Okay,
with this
go
one.
ahead. I'm sorry.
So now you take the whole lay hold. He said.
I take the what?
The lay hold. If a woman is not betrothed.
Oh, lay hold.
And he lay hold on.
I thought you was saying some kind of slang. I was like, the holy hold. What
it
the
is.
heck
Well,
is the holy hold?
Actually, that lay hold is slang.
Really?
Isaiah 4:1. Now we got to take him for face value. Now this is not the precept of Deuteronomy 22:28. Trying to give you an example of wordplay that black folk talk, which is what this is by. Right. Isaiah 4:1. In that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man. Is that literal by force?
I think in this instance it is not.
What does it mean then?
I think that in this instance, well, you have to read the whole thing.
And that you're gonna be right.
Yeah.
And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, We will eat our own bread,
Mm-hmm.
wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name and take away our reproach. Now, what's the take hold in that verse?
I think that they're talking, I think that they're talking about, in this instance, they're referring to someone who is, it sounds like they're coming into a relationship with someone.
But it says take hold.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it say just can we join you?
Are the women raping this man?
Are the women raping? Are the women forcing?
No, I don't think they are in this instance.
Why not?
Because the context here is different. The context of Deuteronomy 22 and 28, 22, 28, 29.
Right. Seems like it's force.
Is actually, when you read both of them together,
Right.
it is clear that they are talking about a man who takes a woman against her will.
You see how you can use
one of them, and they're together. I didn't pull them from another part of the Bible. They're literally together.
You like that? Huh?
They're literally together. Right?
Right.
And so one of them is saying, what do you do when you take a woman who is betrothed? And the other one is saying, what do you do when you take a woman who is not betrothed?
So now
that's the context. I didn't go for another book.
But the reason why I'm giving you the take hold is because you know that the take hold is not talking about force. Because it's a woman to a man.
But brother, my issue is not, but I'm not trying to say that the only reason why I think it's by force is because there's take hold.
No, I don't disagree.
Right. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. I agree that in the context that you just read, it's probably not saying the same thing.
And if you don't know this, that's fine. In Israelite culture, what would you have to do if you wanted to marry a woman? What would you have to do?
Why don't you tell me?
Okay. In Israelite culture, what you would have to do, you would have to go to the father first and pay a dowry.
Right.
That's the 50 shekels of silver. That's what you would have to pay. And a normal right, I don't want to say righteous because it's not righteous to do it the other way, which is what Deuteronomy 22 and 20 is talking about. In a normal setting, you would go to the father and say, I'm interested in your daughter. And you would meet the daughter. You would pay the dowry to the father. Like the book of Tobit is an example. You would pay a dowry to the father, and then you would get the woman.
Why do you pay a dowry?
That's a different subject. I don't want to get off the subject. I don't have a problem with that subject.
We got to do a part 2, brother.
I don't have a problem. We can do it next week. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
When you go to Exodus 22 and 16, which is the precept for Deuteronomy 22 and 28.
Why is it the precept?
I'm going to read because it's the same exact thing.
Okay.
Exodus 22 and 16 says, and if a maid entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. That's what Deuteronomy 22 and 28 is talking about. It's not talking about taking a woman by
But brother,
force.
wait a minute. Wait. Listen, you're talking. He's talking about. Yeah, no, I'm aware of Exodus saying the same thing. But I still don't.
He said, I'm aware of Exodus saying the same thing. You heard what he said?
Let me respond. But that doesn't say anything that we're not talking about rape. I think we are talking about a man taking a woman.
Okay, well, let me help you out.
You got to read these together.
Let me help you out, right? The proper context to understand it, all right? One, it specifically says force. Right. You understand?
Which one?
Like the verse prior to, you understand, when it mentions betrothed also.
That's right.
So now notice that it didn't say forced in the verse after. Right. There's a very specific reason for that. You understand? And the reason being is because it falls under the same context as the lay hold in Isaiah, meaning that those women didn't rape that man. Now, that word lay hold is tapash in Hebrew. When you look at the root of that word, it simply means to manipulate, which is why he went to this precept. Hold on. I see you getting ready. So let me help you out. You understand? So now it says what? If a man entice a maid. You understand? I'm going to translate it into today's English. You understand? If a man rap with a sister, spit game to her. You understand? And then he take her. He shall surely endow her to be his wife. If the father utterly refused, you understand now? There was no rape. This was a mutual. He enticed the woman. You understand? He seduced her, whatever word you want to do. You understand? Whatever word you want to use. Go ahead. But the father utterly refused. He's got to pay the dowry. This is a precept for that because that's all it's saying in that next verse. This man went, he laid hold of this woman. What did he do? It's like saying, I wrapped her around my finger. Now you're saying that. Hold on. I'll let you ask me a question in a second. You've been talking this whole time. I've been quiet. I've been chilling over here, bro.
It's
You
been
get what
two
I'm
of
saying?
you. I mean, it's
Yo, but I've been chilling. So you understand? My point is
y'all
that
tag teaming.
this is why he said it's slang. It's like if I say I bagged Shorty at the club, does that mean that I went and put her in a burlap sack and took her home?
Right.
If I say I scooped Shorty like a ground ball, do I have a giant pitcher's mitt and I'm just running around picking bitches up? You understand? Like, this is what I'm trying to explain to you. This is slang.
so
So
let
when
me-
you look
so-
at that word in its proper
let me-
context, I'm not done. When you look at that word in its proper context, all that it's saying is that he got this woman, you understand, and you understand, she's feeling, she's on his job.
What are the 5 original books of the Bible?
What do you mean by the 5 original?
I'm talking the oldest.
I don't understand.
What are the 5?
I don't understand what you're trying to say.
We usually, sometimes we call them the Pentateuch.
Okay, you're talking about the Torah.
Yes.
Okay.
So what are they?
Based on but you're talking the 5 books of Moses.
Yeah,
Genesis, Deuteronomy, Leviticus. Okay, what's the point though? What's the purpose of this? I'm saying, what's the point of it? Exodus. Okay,
I'm
what's
asking
the point
you a
of
question. You can't answer the question.
Numbers. Okay, I just named them.
My point is, you want to actually use Isaiah as a pretext for Deuteronomy
because it's the same culture.
How in the world?
Because it's the same culture. It's the same people.
No.
That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Yes.
These books were written at different times by different people.
Okay, and
so you are trying to explain an original. Let me finish.
No, I'm not going to. I got to cut you off.
No, wait. You spoke. You told me to be quiet, and I did.
I have to stop.
And now you're continuing.
I have to stop you there.
Well, listen,
I got to nip that.
If that's what you're, this is exactly. Let me say when
let
you
me
say
help
something
you out.
about Kemet,
the reason, the problem
and
with
I
that,
stop you,
you don't understand it.
And I stop you.
You understand?
You
Just like
take
you
issue
told
with
me a
it.
moment
You
ago.
should even acknowledge this.
This is the problem.
Because what's happening here is he's doing what I did a few moments ago, and you were upset about it.
Of Moses. You understand?
This
He's
is
following those 5 books. That's why it would be utilized in the same context.
When I said that what you're doing is you're layering things.
Not layering everything.
And so, and I said, listen, I'm the one that's explaining the Kemetic text. You said, no, I don't want you, I want to finish. Right, but when I did it, he said, no, you should not do that. Let me finish. So now what you've done, and you are the ranking person here because you weren't listening. You was eating the candy.
No.
I mean, come on, man. That's crazy.
He's not saying anything.
I said, I listened to what he said. And then when I went to respond, he interrupted me and said, no, I'm not going to let you continue.
Because what you're saying is idiotic.
What I'm saying to you is that if you are the ranking person, you should at least wait. You should at least be fair enough. As I'm a guest
on his channel,
as I'm a guest, I don't have no.
No, he's talking about something. He interrupted.
Y'all talk to me.
But Jabari, what you tried to do.
What I'm saying, but you hear what I'm saying?
I hear exactly.
At least do you understand what I'm complaining about?
What you tried to do was
tell me what I'm complaining about, so I hear you understand.
You're complaining that you wasn't allowed to explain or respond to him. What is it that you?
No. I'm saying I let him finish, and then when I started to explain,
I'll let you finish, then I'll correct you.
Then I let him finish,
and then he
when I wanted to, and he said he would not let me finish.
Because
and he said, and he wait till let me finish. Let me explain. Now he's just making jokes.
But that's what you did.
He said he wouldn't let me finish because he's the biblical scholar.
But you wanted to disqualify.
And here's the deal. Here's the deal. You were the one that when you were talking about the Kemetic text, and I said you're going far afield, you're laying too many things. You said no.
Admitted.
So I am the Kemetic scholar here.
Admitted that you wanted to disqualify.
I think that it should be. No, I don't want to disqualify it. I want to disconnect.
No, you did.
I want to disconnect it.
That's why you said what are the first
I want to
5
disconnect
books?
it.
But what
and so what I'm saying, you're saying
that
Isaiah. No, how am I disqualifying?
Because the precept for Deuteronomy 22. That's why the process. What's the process in Exodus 22 and 16 after you lay with her? What is the process?
It's the same process as
Deuteronomy
being described
22
here.
and 28.
But what I want to say to you,
the same
but Exodus does not say.
Woman,
read Exodus now.
Every scripture.
Read Exodus. Read the Exodus quote.
Second, before I read it, every scripture is not quoted verbatim. That's why it's Exodus 22 and 16, Deuteronomy 22 and 20, Isaiah 4 and 1, Genesis 49. They're not. They can be the same without using the same words.
You have to understand something. This book that you call the Bible is not one book.
Why does it say precept?
But hear me for a second. Hear me for a second so you understand what I'm saying. You could disagree with me, but I want you to hear what I'm saying, right? This book is not one book. It is actually a grouping of books. They were written at different times by different people. And so what I see people who are Bible followers do sometimes is they say, it says this here, you go here, you understand that, you go here. Those books were written 1,000 years apart by different people in different places in different languages. It doesn't work that way. It wasn't one book that a person wrote and then they said, well, this is going to explain that. This is going to explain. That's only modern people that do that. So you want to use Isaiah as a precept.
I got you.
For Deuteronomy,
that's why
and I say
asked you to show me when that was done.
That's what I want to say to you.
Okay, why couldn't you show me when that was done?
When what's the that? I'm sorry.
The raping.
Well, because
the raping of an
here's the deal.
Woman.
What I want to do.
No.
Let me explain to you why I didn't.
No,
the reason why I want to do.
Hold on.
Can I answer his question?
No, you can't, because I have to respond to what you said. Then you can answer his question. You understand? As what you're saying ties into exactly what I was trying to explain earlier. Like, for example, when I mentioned Greek, you understand? The New Testament was written in Greek. And I said
much of it was.
That's what I'm trying to explain.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So when it comes down to it, right? You cannot understand what's written in Greek if you don't understand Hebrew culture. An example of that would be the word virgin. If you go according to virgin, according to a Greek text, you're going to think it's someone chaste, somebody who's never had sex before. If you go according to the Hebrew tradition, to the Hebrew culture, it's just a young woman of marriageable age. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that Hebrew tradition and culture does not change by the time you get to Isaiah.
Can I respond?
Which is why when it comes down to Isaiah, the 4th chapter, I'm trying to show you it's the same context. You're trying to disconnect them when the problem is that the fundamental of Isaiah is built off those first 5 books that you're explaining.
Let me respond.
I'm not done. You can't respond until I'm finished. I waited. I sat there. You did your
You did not wait.
You cried about not being able to respond. I waited.
No.
Now I responded. So
you can't
disconnect them, because from Genesis to Revelations, Hebrew culture, traditions are all in sync. They don't miss a step. They don't miss a beat. So therefore, they're not disconnected.
And when you got to
wait a minute, now you got to let me. You see what y'all are doing?
I'm gonna take 30 seconds.
Listen. No, I don't want you to take 30 seconds.
I don't want to
because what you're
when
doing.
You have to disconnect the book.
What you are doing
from the
you've asked me here as a guest
that you lost.
If you're not going to allow me to respond,
that's all I said.
You set up something like we're in court and I'm talking to the judge.
It's called cross the line.
But there's no line. Where's the line?
All I said was
they're sitting on a dais and I'm sitting down here.
Do is disconnect.
And so what we're doing here,
that's the proof you lost.
Is listen. As I'm a guest, I would expect that you would at least afford me some respect and courtesy, and that's not what I'm getting right now. Because what you're doing is one of you speaks, and when I wait, then the other one speaks.
And you got to wait again.
Sounds like cross the line.
And so what you're saying is, this is not how I treated you when you were in my shrine. This is not how I treated you when you were.
I was not debating.
But it doesn't matter whether you were I thought this wasn't a debate.
It's not.
So then why are you bringing up a debate?
Because you said.
But that was on my turf. When you came to my turf and you wanted to say something, we let you say something unmolested. We disagreed with you afterwards. But what I'm saying to you is, if this is the manner, that you're going to do this, it's going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible. But if you're going to interrupt someone just because you disagree with them, then you're never going to let me speak, because it is absolutely been supported that you disagree with me. But what you have to do is listen so you understand why you disagree with me. What has happened several times is, and this is what happens. I wish that I know the family can see this. One of you will talk, the other one will take a break and eat. And then when the other one's finished, the other one talks and the other one takes a break and eats. So you know what the problem is? No. We have to talk about the process.
Look at him.
So what happens here is, so what happens, this is not filibustering. This is explaining the process.
All you got to do is answer.
And so, I've already said to you that if you want me to find a passage where it occurs, I am happy to do that. And if I cannot find one, I'll tell you I can't find one. But the reason why I want to go back and do it is because I want to really find those that fit your parameters. Listen to me. I want you to find them that fit the parameters. This is disrespectful.
I just want my question answered.
I already told you I'm not going to answer it tonight. Okay, and the reason why I'm not going to answer it tonight, I said that because I want to actually give it the respect and the study that it's due. It's a good question.
And you know what? I respect that. But here's the part that I don't really respect.
Go ahead.
Is when we show you that it's not rape. I would think that if you show me something correcting Kemet, like let's say I brought out the Gab thing with the raping of his mother, right? So now on the premise, because you said you ain't seen that part in history, I could go parade around and say that the rape was legit. Just because you ain't seen it, and this is what I have in front of me. Now, let's say if you show me the evidence that maybe I misread or maybe the information was wrong, should I then say, no, it's not wrong because you got to discredit this? Or should it be good that your culture does not condone rape? What you did was I'm pretty sure everybody can keep up with what I'm saying. What you did was when we showed you with two scriptures that Deuteronomy 22 and 28, when you see a single woman that is not talking about rape, the brother gave you the Hebrew word for it. We gave you two precepts for it. You would think that it's good that the Bible doesn't condone rape. Even when I asked you to show me where a rape was allowed in the scriptures, and you said you don't know if it's there, you would have to go back and look at it. So if we're showing you that that's not rape, that should be something that say, okay, we can scratch that off the table.
Let me say this to you.
What you would rather
the first thing that I said,
what you would rather do is let rape stand.
Can I say this?
Listen, yesterday when you went on your rant, I'm gonna go on my rant right
now. Go
now.
ahead.
Right.
Go on
what
your rant.
I take issue with is rape is not condoned in the Bible under any circumstances. That's why Levi and Simeon killed the whole tribe, because they took his sister, even though he wanted to pay for the sister. They did not like it because she was taken by force. Right. You brought up the story with David, when David's son, when he raped his sister, that was punished. There ain't no rape that has taken place in the Bible that has been allowed, but showing me something that you say is in the law. If we correct you, you should be willing to say, I stand corrected. So just like if you correct me,
let me say this.
I should be willing to say,
but let me say
I
this.
stand
let me
corrected.
say this.
What you would rather do is call us rapists.
No. Wait.
Tell me my Bible says
Brother
you can rape, you're
T.D.JAKES,
telling me I'm a rapist.
Listen,
because I believe every single thing in the Bible.
I want to say something to you.
That.
I know. Listen, you have heard me say on many occasions that I think that you are an honorable person.
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the Bible.
Let me finish. I do not believe that you condone, engage, or rape adjacent.
I don't care about
what
that.
I am saying is, so let me finish. Let me finish. I let you finish, right? I didn't interrupt because I really did want to hear. I did want to hear what you're saying. I did hear what you said.
If you heard what I'm saying,
I did hear what you said.
At least said,
so what I said.
Let me go look at the scriptures.
I did say, let me go look at the scriptures.
No,
I said that 10 minutes ago. I said, let me find a story.
But you said Isaiah is not connected with the Torah.
You
said that too.
I did say that, but let me make this point, and then I'll go to that point. Mm-hmm. This point is, I want to actually, you made a good point. And I said this. I want to go back and give the kind of study that is due to your question, because I don't want to just say this is what I think it is and not study the verses. And that's why I said this will need to be a part 2. Now, I do believe that if you read these sections of Deuteronomy together, it is evident, clear, absolutely crystal to me that they're referring to rape when someone is betrothed and rape when someone is not betrothed. That is what I've said.
Right.
So I understand that. Okay,
but wait, let me
finish. I know that you disagree with that. And you know what? I expect you to disagree with that. Because I've said you're an honorable person. So even if it was there, I would have to accept even if it was there, you would disagree with it.
No.
And I know that about you. Because if someone wrote on one of your daughters, there would be smoke in the city. And you believe it or not, if you called Jabari, me and my followers would be there with you. And I know that about you.
You
That's
said-
why
you
I
said this
know.
the other
Wait,
day.
so let me say this. That's why I know that you interpret it differently. I know you do.
I'm not interpreting it differently.
Well, listen.
I'll tell you, you would have a better argument. You would have a better argument if this verse stood by itself.
And I want you,
but the verse don't stand by
two
itself.
verses together to Zaryak. They
No,
explain
you're
them.
putting 2 verses
No,
together.
listen, I am
That's
not
what
the
you're
only
doing.
one that interprets it this way.
You ain't the only one that don't
And I
know the
want to
Bible
be
either,
very
though.
clear with you on something else.
Like you
I
don't
did
know
a
the
whole
Bible.
presentation on misogyny in the Bible. The
And
only
you were
part that you
wrong
would
about
like
it.
to disagree with is rape.
What?
There are many other things that I said. That whole presentation was over an hour.
Mhm.
And the only one that you'll disagree with is rape. If this was the only piece, if this was the only piece, if this is the only piece that I said, if this stood by itself, I would possibly say, well, maybe I'm reading something incorrect. But the reality is the Bible does have a problem with misogyny. And I would expect Bible followers to find a way to say these are things that we will not practice, and you would put it in some sort of
is that the
capsule.
man is the head of the woman.
Well, that is misogyny.
That's not, but it also says
That's
for the
misogyny.
man to love his woman as he loves himself.
Yes, that's true.
So that
it
that
does
ain't
say
misogyny.
that. It does
so
say
if you
that.
loving your woman like you love yourself, you ain't gonna harm yourself. You're gonna protect yourself.
Well,
so
brother,
you gonna love your woman the way that she's supposed to be. So when you say misogyny,
there are
you
some
tell
things.
half-truths.
There are some
You tell
things.
half-truths.
I'm not going to say that everything in the Bible is misogynistic. I did not say that.
But when it came to the
But I
maxim
do
of Ptah
believe.
Hotep,
But
you
I
said
do
you would not
believe.
follow that
I
when
do.
it said
I said.
refrain her
I
from
said.
power. Control
you
her.
looked at one word, 2 words. It's not even the full sentence. You didn't even
picked
look at
one
the full
section.
sentence.
You picked one verse.
I no, it's actually 2 verses.
No,
and they're
pairing
together.
2 verses.
They're
One is
next
clearly
to
rape.
each other.
One is no, they're not. One is
okay. Wait a
clearly
minute.
rape.
Which 2 verses am I talking about?
You're talking about verse 25 and 26.
So it's 2. You said they're not
and
together.
And I'm talking about verse 28. That's what I'm talking about. One is clearly rape. 25 and 26 is clear. Well, verse 25, 26 is just saying nothing happens to her.
But listen,
verse 25
you could
is
read
clearly
27.
rape.
27 doesn't change the story. It's just
25 is clearly rape. 28 is not rape.
Okay. I want you to understand that that's not my position. And I know you're going to disagree, and I expect you to disagree.
Well, your knowledge of the
But
Bible
I think
is
that,
just very,
and I think
very,
that,
very,
well,
like
you could
when
say
you
that.
brought up Catholic,
You
it's
could say
very
that.
Catholic.
You could say that. Fine.
Because like
fine, you could do
in
that.
Immaculate Conception.
You could do it. I believe in Immaculate Conception.
Yeah.
I preach against Immaculate Conception.
You might preach against it as far as being mimicked, but I've heard you say we follow after the Immaculate Conception.
No, you've never heard me say that.
I called them.
You've heard me say that I follow after the Immaculate Conception?
No. When I'm saying, okay, maybe I should word it in a way you can understand.
Okay.
You believe that we believe that.
In Immaculate Conception?
Yeah. Yeah.
What
you believe
I
that
actually,
we believe in a virgin
you have to
birth.
understand something else.
You believe that we believe.
Let me explain. Let me
birth.
explain something else.
Mm-hmm.
That video, I know it says I.S.U.P.K. because I did talk about I.S.U.P.K. But that video was really to Bible followers. So I know that there's some things that you will not agree with because it wasn't actually all targeted to you for your ears. There are Christians.
I don't.
But
I've taken anything that you said as a personal thing. Even when
no, I don't mean personal. I don't mean personal.
Like you saying how you say like it wasn't all about I.S.U.P.K. I don't look at your work and say, oh, this is about. I don't do.
But
that.
I'm talking about even that video. Okay. There's some things that I said that I do not believe that you'll agree with. But there are some things that I believe they're really for Bible followers in general. And if you listen to what I said, I wasn't speaking only to you. I was speaking to those people who follow that group of books.
All right, but hold on real quick.
Go ahead.
I want to backtrack real quick. So it's misogynistic if the man is the head of the household. So does that mean you believe that the woman should be the head of the household?
No. I believe that we're partners. That's what I believe.
Oh, okay. So now this is so quick question, right? Quick
Sure.
question.
Sure.
Somebody breaks into your house. Your partners. Whose responsibility is it to protect the household? Is it yours or your woman's?
Depends what you consider protection, first of all.
Okay, so here's what I'm saying.
But let me say to you that just because we're partners doesn't mean that we don't have different roles.
Now,
it means that she is
there we
not
go.
subordinate to me.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, here's the whole point, right? You understand? As far as all that goes, there has to be order. You understand? And like what you're talking about doesn't sound like order. We both have.
Can I ask how?
Why
Are you married?
Huh?
Are you married?
Absolutely.
How long have you been married?
Long enough. Just listen. Hold on real quick. I didn't finish my point though.
Go ahead.
All right. Thank you. So my point being is that just like you said, we have different roles. We have different roles. You understand? And a part of that role is not only protecting the household, you understand, if a burglar or invader was to come through, but it's also to lead, spiritually guide that woman, protect that woman. You understand? So on and so forth. So we have those roles. And I said this in class earlier. I'm not done. You understand? I said this in class earlier. If it's my job or my role to guard and protect my woman to the point where I'd give my life, you owe me a different type of allegiance. You understand? You owe me a complete different type of allegiance. You understand? Okay. Like straight up and down. Like if I'm gonna give my life for you, let me tell you something. I'm also gonna run that household. You understand? Okay. Which means that certain decisions are going to have to be, you understand? Meaning that, like, okay, this is the last thing I'm gonna say. I'll give you the floor back. You understand? If there's no rank, then that means that when you turn around and you have, that means there's going to be disagreements. You understand? Whereas if there's a ranking structure and I say we're going left, we go left. If she wants to go right, I go left. The family splits up. There has to be a certain point where you say, this is what I'm in charge of. You understand? And that's the role that we're talking about.
Let me say for that. You see, this is what. But he
okay,
because and you know why you stopped? Because you heard me say that was unfair. That's why I went through that. So you have to understand this. I'm telling you that I've been with the same woman for nearly 25 years, and I'm saying to you that we are partners. There's no confusion in my household. I'm telling you that is how comedic relationships work, and that's how they worked thousands of years ago. What you're describing is something that occurred for a very short period of time. I'm talking about something that occurred for thousands of years, and it worked. And Black people were in the strongest position that we have ever been. So while you question whether it works or not, I would say the proof is in the pudding, and the pudding is in Kemet. So let me finish. Okay. So I want to be clear that we're not just talking about someone who protects someone. Generally speaking, if someone breaks into my house, my queen would look at me to deal with it. I've studied the martial arts. I'm bigger than her, and generally most men are bigger. She would expect me to do that, not because I lead her or because she's my subordinate, but because based on who I am, the physical form that the creator, the Neteru, gave me, it is more appropriate for me to do that. But it's not because she is my subordinate. And I'm going to say to you that there are many times in the Bible where women are depicted as the subordinate. That is what I'm taking issue with. And that's the very, let me finish. That's the reason why I said that it's interesting that most people want to just focus on rape. Because my comment was the Bible has a problem with misogyny. Misogyny is bigger than rape. You have created a tradition that is patriarchal, and you're comfortable with it. But what I'm, and that's fine, you're comfortable with it. What I'm saying to you is that's not how our people got down. That's what I'm saying. Tazariak said to me that there's one woman that teaches. If I'm getting what you're saying wrong, tell me, and I'll take it back. No, say that, in a conversation I had with you, you said that there was a woman that taught, that teaches for I.S.U.P.K. and she has a doctorate.
No, not that she teaches. I said she's established the 501c3 that we have.
You didn't say she teaches?
She's a PhD. She's a doctor.
No, I'm saying teaches for the school.
No, if I did, I
so there's no women that teach for your school.
Teach like a class, like how we have class here.
Why is teaching unclear?
No, because women do teach. But if you talk about teaching other women, yes. But if you
other women and children, but they don't teach women.
Right, but they don't sit this class.
But see, what I'm saying to you is that is patriarchy. And I know that you feel it works for you. I get it.
It works perfectly, though.
I'm saying to you,
like it works perfectly, though. Like how you got your 25, I got 17. Let me say to you, and I will never mention their names. Let me say to you that there are many women in your tradition who are calling me to complain about it. Okay, but
and I want you to understand that it's a problem and that we can change it.
You know what I could tell you?
Yes.
You know, there's a men that were in this culture that calling men. There are men that are in this culture.
Men, M-E-N?
M-E-N.
Oh, because you know my tradition is men.
Oh, yeah, like men, like a man, like a man.
Okay.
Real quick.
Wait, hold on.
Real quick. Listen,
Okay.
I don't talk that much, man. Real quick. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock, you're going to be in the building.
Where?
On Black News 102.
Okay.
I'm interviewing a sister that just got back from
I heard about that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna talk to you about that, but I don't want to lose my track. You say how you said there are women that are that was in our culture contacting you complaining about the culture. Yeah, men and women in every culture that complain about the culture that they was in. That's not proof positive that it's not working. You have people that was in, but you bring that up.
I don't want you to think I'm saying it's proof positive.
Then why say it? Just like,
because I'm saying you said it works perfectly.
It does.
And so the term perfect means without distinction. And I'm telling you, there is distinction.
No sweat. You only bring up the women that supposedly can't do this or can't do that. When is Feast of Purim? Why do we even have a feast? It's in honor of what a woman did. It's not in honor of what a man did.
I don't question you doing that.
But see, you said we only touched the rape thing. We just didn't have time.
I'm saying my present. That was at the end of my presentation.
The baddest woman to me in the Bible is Judith. She slayed a king.
That's fine. I mean, you can find bad women in the Bible.
No.
What does that mean?
You said the women be subservient. When you're familiar with this in First Ezra, the 3rd and 4th chapter, when it talks about the strongest thing on the planet, it talks about a woman being the strongest thing on the planet. So if we're going to pick and choose, is there verses in the Bible that condemns a woman? Yes. But there's also verses in the Bible that condemns man. Right. It's not.
This is not about condemnation. This is about subordination.
That's how you're making it.
No.
Even when you say the term,
this is about subordination.
Even when you take the term,
you are changing the parameters of this discussion.
My wives don't feel subordinate.
Okay.
That's what you're saying.
Right. I can't talk to you about your home. It would be inappropriate for me to even do that.
Let me tell you something.
I wouldn't do that to you. No, you know what?
Hold on.
For real. Even if I did know that, I wouldn't do that to you.
No sweat, but let me tell you something.
That'd be violation.
But
that'd be violation.
Real quick, just before we end this, I also let me explain something to you. We also have a rank inside here. You understand? Like let me explain something to you. This is one of my subordinates. Yeah. I don't disrespect him. You understand? Let me explain something to you. I'm his subordinate. He don't disrespect me. Now, hold on. Now, let me explain something to you. Things function properly when there's a rank and order system. You understand? And just because he outranks me doesn't mean me and him don't consult with one another. The same way myself and my wife, who is my subordinate, who she knows she should follow me. You understand? We still consult with each other. And if she has an idea or something she wants to do, we work it out.
Yeah, but I would assume that Captain got this rank that is higher than yours because of the work that he puts in. You are saying that women get a lower rank strictly based on an X chromosome, based on how they were born. And they can never rise above it. This is not the same thing as talking about a rank in your tradition.
Hold on though. Now,
do you see the difference?
I do. Okay. Now, just because you understand, once again, that it doesn't mean that a woman can't have a glorious or honorable position inside our culture or society.
It just can't be above a man.
You understand? No, it can't.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
And you understand now.
That's what I'm saying.
As far as when it comes down to a man, once again, Deborah was a judge and a prophetess. You understand? Like she was one. Hold on. She counseled men. She gave advice. Just like a mother can give good advice. You understand? There are very wise women out there. Don't get it twisted.
And isn't it a shame that you have wise women, but they are only subordinate to you?
But now here's the, and you know what?
Did you hear my question?
As well, they should, just like my children are subordinate.
Wait. Did you hear what he said?
What did he say?
You said they were great, wise women. And I said, then isn't it a shame that they are always subordinate to you? And you said,
no.
No, that is not what you said. You said as well they should.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, okay.
Come on, man.
Okay,
Get
wait,
the
one second, though.
bandage.
But when you say
you're not cutting anything. I'm agreeing
Stop
with
it.
you. That's not an issue.
But
when
you
you're
don't even
saying-
see the problem.
I don't. It's not a problem.
Okay.
When you're saying subordinate to men, you know, every woman is not subordinate to all men. We're only talking about in a relationship. We're talking about my wives or his wife. I don't rule his wife.
Of course you don't, because you know why? You would have to deal with him,
but
because she's his property.
But if I'm not a Sanetta,
Right?
If I'm
You
not
don't even
mistaken,
see the
who's
problem
head
with
of
what
your
you're
household?
saying.
No.
This is like a
Hold on,
drug
hold on.
addict
Everybody stop.
saying, I
Jabari,
like the chronic. And I'm like, don't you
Jabari.
see it's killing you?
Wait,
And you're like,
hold on. Hey,
chronic
Jabari,
is
just
good.
stop.
And I'm like, don't you see
Jabari,
what's
just
happening?
Stop for 1 second. Sanetta, who's the head of your household? And I got you on camera.
Of course, I am the head, and my wife also.
That's not what you on camera saying. He said, I know I'm the head of my household. Okay, so what's the difference between Sanetta saying he's the head of his household and the scripture saying the man is the head of the
Let
household?
me say to you,
There is no difference.
in
There
our
ain't no
tradition,
my wife can do the same exact.
But let
and my
me-
wife can do
let-
the same
let me
exact
say-
thing. She
let
can
me
come
say-
with a better
let me say
idea
something
than
to you.
mine, and her idea will rule
let me say
over
something
mine.
to you. In the Kemetic, listen,
But you do too.
Right.
Captain
If
Tazariak,
you listen,
Captain
Sanetta
Tazariak,
just said what we do.
Captain
You just said
Tazariak,
what we do.
listen to me.
Sanetta just said-
Listen,
Sanetta
listen,
just said
listen, listen. Let me say something to you. Just as you're a captain, I'm a Kemetic. So
To be
we need to
continued.
at least
To be continued.
wrap it. You know, it's just like